Chapter 41. Su Yunqian and Su Xingqian also gracefully walked over, looking as elegant as princesses. Su Yunqian's gaze lightly swept over Xiaodong and held onto Bailey Han's arm. Her voice was soft. Han, how could you throw this miss into the pool? That's too rude. Su Xingqian blinked in astonishment and suddenly cried out. Ah, isn't this the chief editor of Char magazine? Miss Xia, don't stand in the water. Be careful not to catch a cold. Let me help you out. So it's the chief editor of Char magazine. I heard that she came back from Japan. Japan's adult culture is so developed. You didn't see how bold and unrestrained this chief editor miss was just now. Char magazine's future is worrying. With such a chief editor, it can't develop in the direction of vulgarity in the future. Charm Bar was filled with famous people, and there were also many people in the fashion circle. When Char magazine was mentioned, everyone knew about it. Several well-dressed men and women were commenting on Xiaodong. Although their voices weren't loud, it was just enough for her to hear. After Xiaodong's embarrassment, she calmed down. She straightened her back and calmly swept her cold gaze around. Finally, her gaze stopped on Bailey Han. She calmly said, I was drunk just now and was rude. Please forgive me, young Master Bailey. Her calm demeanor and lack of stage fright made the people who were gossiping about her no longer have the nerve to gossip. Everyone felt bored and dispersed one after another. Bailey Han didn't look at her again. He held onto Su Yunqian's arm and left. Su Xingqian stood by the pool and stretched out her arm. Miss Xia, let me pull you up. No need, I can get up myself. Xiaodong pushed her arm away and stood up easily with both hands on the ground. Su Xingqian blinked. Miss Xia, I think you look familiar. You look like a friend of mine. Your names are the same too. Really? In this world, there are many people with the same name and surname. There are also many people who look the same. You're right. Although you look similar, your temperaments are completely different. I was just casually saying. Su Xingqian smiled and waved. Then Miss Xia, goodbye. My friend is still waiting for me. Xiaodong lightly nodded. After Su Xingqian turned around, the smile on his face didn't change, but a gloomy look appeared in his eyes. 5 years ago, Xiaodong was kidnapped by Brother and disappeared mysteriously. Brother and Brother Tiger and the rest seemed to have evaporated from this world. They couldn't be contacted. Where did they all go? Xiaodong, it really wasn't you? You're going in there, you're going in's wet? She was when she heard a frigid voice behind her. She was about to enter. She was when she was about to step inside when she. Her, she. Mississippi Bailey Yun, why are you here? Xiaodong helplessly turned around. Ever since he confessed to her that day, she had been avoiding his calls and texts. She didn't expect him to see her in such a state. Bailey Yun shrugged, looking sloppy. Ever since you left, I've been a regular here. If it wasn't for the music every night, how could I fall asleep without you? This person's mouth was full of nonsense. It would be strange if she believed him. Xiaodong rolled her eyes, ignored him, and walked towards the hall. Wait! Bailey Yun pulled her, took off his jacket, and gently draped it over her body. He leaned close to her ear and whispered, I won't allow you to show your sexy look to others. Xiaodong unceremoniously wrapped the jacket around herself. I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood to joke with you. But thank you for the jacket. Bailey Yun raised his foxy eyes, which were full of smiles. Didn't you ask a handsome guy to help you leave? Am I not a handsome guy? A certain fox stroked his hair coquettishly, his pair of electric eyes releasing a strong electric current. You saw it all? Yeah, let me think. It seems that from the moment you hugged Bailey Han to the moment he threw you into the pool, I was there the whole time. I have to say, you've become much bolder in the 5 years you've been in Japan. Hey, you're still making sarcastic remarks while watching your friend suffer. Bailey Yun, are you itching for a beating? Xiaodong gritted her teeth in anger. Don't be angry. Don't be angry. I just wanted to see how much you've changed in the past 5 years. Just this calmness is worthy of praise. Bailey Yun leaned close to her ear. By the way, my confession at the hotel last time was just a joke. Don't take it to heart. So it was a joke. Bailey Yun hugged his chest and stepped back abruptly, shouting, Hey, I was just joking. Don't be interested in me. I like hot girls. Don't come near a shriveled onion like you. How was he shriveled? Xiaodong's face instantly darkened. Xiaodong heaved a sigh of relief, which made Bailey Yun feel very uncomfortable. But what could he do? This woman was like an ostrich. When it came to matters of the heart, she would bury her head in the sand. No matter how hard he tried to pull it out or shake it, it was useless. To think that he, a Casanova of a generation, had been troubled for an entire night because she refused to answer his call and avoided him. Sigh, this was really infuriating. He had no choice but to use a roundabout tactic. From a best friend to a husband, there was still a long way to go. Let's go. Didn't you want to find someone to act like they fell in love with you at first sight? If not me, who else could it be? Hey, there's no need. Hey, don't drag me along. Xiaodong was dragged all the way to the party room by Bailey Yun. Everyone was shocked that Xiaodong would really drag a handsome guy back. The quick-witted colleagues quickly turned off the sound system. Only Bailey Yun's calm and generous voice could be heard in the room. Hi everyone. Everyone was shocked. Wow, so handsome. The chief editor's clothes are for a handsome guy, right? Wow, so fast. The chief editor is so awesome. Ding Hao was the first to calm down and respond to his greeting. Hello. Bailey Yun hugged Xiaodong's waist and led her forward. Xia, won't you introduce us? What could Xiaodong say? She could only accept her fate and introduce them. This is a colleague from our department. This is the cameraman Ding Hao. The chief editor's assistant, Lilith. He's Bailey Yun. He's my, friend. A friend I just met. Bailey Yun suddenly corrected her. She was dumbfounded and stared at him with an expression of disbelief. He smiled at her. I fell in love with you at first sight, didn't I? Xiaodong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was speechless. It was just an act. He was taking it too seriously. Wow, so romantic. Lilith clasped her hands and rested her chin on them. Her eyes were filled with red hearts. The other female colleagues also had envious looks on their faces. He was so handsome and so gentle. He was really the best. However, Lin Zhan's expression was awkward. He hadn't forgotten that he had to pay for the bet. Bailey Yun nodded at everyone. Today's bill is on me. Take it as a greeting gift for everyone. Please take care of my Xia. Mr. Bailey, you're too polite. It should be the chief editor who takes care of us. Lin Zhan immediately breathed a sigh of relief and flattered him with a smile. The female colleagues were even more excited. He had spent a lot of money at Charm Club. It seemed that he was the son of a rich family. Hey, Bailey Yun, why did it sound so familiar? Was he the second son of Bailey Yun, from the most famous family in a city? The women exchanged glances. Finally, Lilith took a small step forward, swallowed her saliva, and asked cautiously, Mr. Bailey, are you the legendary Bailey's second son? Bailey Yun smiled in a gentlemanly manner. The answer was obvious. Lilith wanted to faint, and so did the other women, but soon, they all looked at Xiaodong with envy and sympathy. Although the second son of Bailey came from a famous family and was as rich as a country, he didn't have a good reputation. He never lacked women around him. It was said that when he was in the United States, it was even more exaggerated. So while they were envious of Xiaodong, they also mourned for her, hoping that she wouldn't be dumped by him so soon. At this moment, Xiaodong's cell phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID, said, sorry, and walked out of the room to answer it. Hello, Xiaobao, why aren't you asleep yet? Mom, Xiao Guai has a fever. We're in the hospital. Fever? Xiaodong suddenly panicked. She hurriedly said goodbye to her colleagues, grabbed her bag, and left. Bailey Yun chased after her. What's wrong? What happened? Nothing. Xiaodong tried to calm down. She comforted herself. Xiao Guai had a fever before, so he would be fine this time. What's wrong with you? Bailey Yun grabbed her shoulders and forced her to look into his eyes. I'm really fine. Bailey Yun, I have to go home. Let's talk again when we have time. Xiaodong pushed him away forcefully, ran to the side of the road, stopped a taxi, and instructed the driver to drive to the People's Hospital. Sir, please drive the car like a plane. I'm in a hurry. Xiaodong looked at her watch and anxiously wiped her sweat. Okay. The driver stepped on the gas pedal and flew out. Xiaodong grabbed the seatbelt and her face turned pale. She felt like she was on a roller coaster. Bailey Yun looked in the direction she disappeared and couldn't help but frown. What was she hiding from him? She was like a mystery. She suddenly disappeared and suddenly reappeared. She wasn't even willing to tell him her home address. Even if the driver drove the car like a flying saucer, Xiaodong arrived at the hospital 20 minutes later. She took out all the notes in her pocket and threw them to the driver. She jumped out of the car and ran into the hospital without stopping. She rushed into Xiao Guai's ward and grabbed the doctor. She bent over and asked breathlessly, Doctor, how is my daughter?" The doctor was shocked. He really didn't know where this woman came from. He remembered that she wasn't around when he took the patient's temperature. Xia Yun, who had been waiting by the side, quickly comforted her. Xia, you're here. Don't worry, Xiao Guai is fine." The doctor then reacted. She's fine. The patient's temperature has dropped. As a parent, you're too careless. How could you let the child get water when she has this kind of illness? The doctor reprimanded her and gave a few more words of advice before leaving. Xiaodong's expression turned cold. She glared at her son, who was sitting beside Xiao Guai and wiping the sweat off her forehead. Xiaobao. His little face suddenly puffed up. He looked up and called out crisply, Mommy. Come here. Xiaodong glared at him. The little guy jumped down and climbed onto her body. He climbed into her arms and then stopped. He blinked his doe eyes pitifully. Mommy. It's no use calling me Mommy. Xiaodong looked down at the little guy in her arms. She patted his tender little face and said darkly, Tell me what's going on. Didn't I ask you to take good care of Xiao Guai? What's with the water? Attention, Xinwu 799. Chapter 42. The little guy shrank back and pursed his lips. Mommy, don't smile like that. Baby is so scared. Stop pretending. Xiaodong rubbed his cheeks and said fiercely, Hurry up and tell me the truth. What's going on? Mommy, don't abuse me, okay? Xiao Bao complained tearfully. His tender white hands rubbed the elastic skin on his face pitifully. Sigh, his mother was really cruel. Hey, Xia, don't hit the child. Xia Yun, who didn't know the truth, hurried forward and snatched Xiao Bao from Xiaodong's arms. Xiao Bao, be a good boy and don't cry. Tell me, how did Xiao Guai get drenched? Xiaodong glared at Xiao Bao, who was in her aunt's arms, and said helplessly, Aunt, don't be fooled by him. I didn't hit him. This guy is best at pretending to be pitiful. Xiao Bao, are you going to tell me or not? If you don't, Xiao Guai won't be able to go to kindergarten anymore. Okay, I'll tell you. Xiao Bao jumped down from Xia Yun's arms and put on an apologetic expression. I didn't take good care of Xiao Guai today. That's why she was bullied by a bad guy. Tell me the details. There's a guy in our class called Bailey E. He's very arrogant. Xiao Guai wanted to be friends with him and gave him coke. He actually drenched Xiao Guai with it. 3 black lines appeared on Xiaodong's forehead. Isn't that kid called Bailey E very handsome? Xiao Bao curled his lips in disdain. He's not as handsome as me, but he's pretty handsome. Xiaodong had a headache. She finally understood. It turned out that her infatuated daughter had tried to hit on the handsome guy, but the handsome guy didn't like her and even doused her with coke. Gigai, when are you going to get rid of your infatuation? Stroking her daughter's forehead, Xiaodong was both heartbroken and speechless. Xiao Bao groaned as she crawled to Xiao Guai's bedside. Her rosy cheeks were filled with anger. It's all that Bailey Yi's fault. Xiao Guai is so cute, yet he still had the heart to bully her. I want to take revenge on him. Xiaodong was silent for a while before she asked, How do you plan to take revenge on him? It's a secret. Xiao Bao's lips curled into a devilish smile. Whoever dared to hurt his adorable little sister, he would definitely make that arrogant fellow pay the price. Xiaodong rubbed her temples. Don't go overboard. Don't threaten his life. Xiao Bao smiled brightly, revealing a row of neat little white teeth. Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. Xia Yun listened to the conversation between the mother and son and was so shocked that she was speechless. After a while she said, Xia, how can you educate your child like this? It's wrong to bully your classmates. Xia Dong's face was expressionless. Auntie, I won't offend people if they don't offend me. But if anyone bullies me, I'm not a fool. I won't let them bully me. People are all cheap. They think that you're easy to bully, so they get addicted to bullying. So when it's time to fight back, we have to fight back. She had been bullied when she was young and knew that it didn't feel good. If she didn't teach her children to be strong, was she going to let them be bullied by others? Xia Yun wanted to defend herself, but she found that she didn't know where to start. In the end, she could only sigh and let them be. She also believed that they had a bottom line and wouldn't go overboard. Xiao Bao looked at his sister lying on the hospital bed and made up his mind to cure her illness as soon as possible. He had to speed up and find out who his biological father was. Shenghao Group. The receptionist, Ding Lina, was bored. She took out some powder and wiped her face. Suddenly, she heard a tender voice. Pretty sister. Ding Lina looked up impatiently. No one? Pretty sister, I'm downstairs. The soft and tender voice sounded again. Ding Lina looked down and saw a little boy wearing Pikachu clothes looking at her with a smile. Little friend, who are you looking for? Excuse me, is this Shenghao Group? The little boy blinked his big eyes innocently. Yes, that's right. Excuse me, which office is the CEO of Shenghao Group in? The little boy smiled and asked. His little dimples were embedded in his pink little face, making him look extremely cute. Ding Lina's motherly nature erupted. He's on the 36th floor, in the biggest office. Little friend, why are you looking for our CEO? Nothing, I'm just asking casually. The little boy took out his right hand from behind his back. It was a bright red rose. He tiptoed and gave it to her. Pretty sister, this flower is for you. Only such a beautiful flower is worthy of you. Wow, it's so beautiful. Thank you. Ding Lina was overjoyed by his praise. She returned the favor and said, Little brother, our CEO is not in the office today. He went on a business trip. Thank you, pretty sister. Then I'll go upstairs and take a look. I'll go up first. The little boy waved his hand and skipped toward the elevator. Okay, come and play with me later. Ding Lina thought it was the child of one of the company's employees. She smiled and watched him go to the elevator. Xia Xiaobao went directly to the 36th floor. The employees on this floor were basically the company's senior executives. Except for the secretary's office, everyone had their own office. He easily sneaked to the door of Bailey Han's office. But the door was locked. How could he get in? He puffed up his cheeks and rolled his big eyes. He immediately had an idea. He sneaked into the bathroom and took out his small computer from the Garfield backpack that he carried with him. Her fair little fingers danced on the keyboard, and the computer screen displayed complex program codes. Line by line, she scrolled down at a very fast speed. His 10 fingers kept jumping. After about 5 or 6 minutes, he snapped his fingers and showed a bright smile. It's done. He quickly stuffed the small computer into his bag. He swaggered out of the bathroom and walked to the door of the secretariat. He secretly poked his head out and waited for the people inside to come out. Hey, that's strange. Why would the CEO send me an email to help him clean the office? Don't the cleaners clean the office every day after work? The CEO's secretary, Linda, asked curiously. Xiao Bao covered her little mouth and snickered. Of course, Bailey Han wouldn't send her such a boring email, because he had hacked Bailey Han's email and sent it under an impersonator's name. Aya, don't complain. Hurry up and clean it. If the CEO comes back later and finds out that you haven't cleaned it, he'll go crazy. The other secretary advised her. That's true. Sigh, what bad luck. Linda, who was wearing high heels and dressed beautifully, walked out of the office muttering. She swiped her fingerprint and opened the door of the CEO's office. She went to the cleaning room to get cleaning tools. In this short 1 minute, Little Treasure was like a little rabbit that quickly scurried into the CEO's office. He rummaged left and right, and before Linda came back, he finally found a strand of hair on Bailey Han's office chair with great difficulty. Success. The next step was to test the DNA. He should go back to the kindergarten now. He wanted to teach that Bailey a lesson. At this moment, Xiaodong had no idea that her son had skipped class and sneaked into Bailey Han's office. She was in a meeting with everyone in the company. After the meeting, she returned to the office and took a break to call her aunt. "Aunt, how's Xiao Guai today?" "The doctor said that Xiao Guai can be discharged this afternoon. I'll bring Xiao Guai to my house first. Your uncle doesn't have class in the afternoon. He said that he'll go to the kindergarten to pick up Xiao Bao. After you get off work, come and pick them up directly." Yes. Sorry to trouble you, Aunt. Don't mention it. Don't worry about your work. I'm hanging up. After hanging up the phone, Xiaodong heaved a sigh of relief. She felt relaxed and worked very efficiently for the entire afternoon. When she got off work, she stood by the roadside waiting for a taxi. A flashy red sports car stopped in front of her. Bailey Yun took off his sunglasses handsomely. He put a finger to his mouth and threw a flying kiss over. "Darling, I'm here." He was wearing a pair of jeans and a black shirt. The tight jeans wrapped around his butt, making it look round and perky. The top 3 buttons of his black shirt were unbuttoned, revealing a chest that could make people spurt blood. He put his hands in his trouser pockets and walked over, shaking his small waist and butt. It was incomparably flirtatious. All the women within a radius of 3 miles cast their gazes over, covering their faces shyly as they cried out. It was so ecstatic, so exquisite. Xiaodong was so shocked that his little heart trembled. He hurriedly pushed him into the car. "Bailey Yun, why are you here?" "To take you home." Bailey Yun naturally put his arms around her waist. His foxy eyes were slightly raised in excitement. "Darling, before we go home, I'll take you to a good place." "Stop. Bailey Yun, don't call me darling. I'm scared." Xiaodong crossed her arms and made a gesture of disgust. "I have something to do tonight. I can't go with you. If you can send me to my aunt's house, I'll be very grateful." "Okay, no problem. I'll make an appointment for you tomorrow." Although Bailey Yun was a little disappointed, he still opened the car door for her like a gentleman. "I'm sorry," Xiaodong said apologetically. "After I get off work, I have to go home to accompany my family. I'll be home early in the future." "What about the weekend? You should have time on the weekend." Bailey Yun persisted. "This weekend, I have a race. I want you to come and watch." "Race? What race?" Bailey Yun raised his eyebrows. "I'm going to participate in a small race that's not public. I haven't driven a motorcycle for a long time. I'm not confident. How about you come and cheer for me?" Xiaodong neither agreed nor refused. "Motorcycle? I didn't expect you to play it. Who's in the race?" "Xiao Qifeng, Xiao Tiansheng, Su Jin and my brother and I. A total of 5 people. We've been riding motorcycles together since junior high school. We haven't ridden for many years. I really miss it." With Bailey Han around, Xiaodong's interest was immediately piqued. "I don't know the other 3. Can you introduce them?" Bailey Yun said while driving. "Xiao Qifeng and Xiao Tianxing are brothers. They're the sons of the Xiao group. As for Su Jin En, he's Su Yunqian's brother. He's also the future successor of the Su group." "The Xiao group is that media tycoon?" As for the Su group, thanks to Xia Zhenxing, she investigated very clearly. The old CEO of the Su group, Su Yihai, had a son and a daughter. The son, Su Bolin, married a wife and gave birth to Su Jin, An and Su Yunqian. The daughter, Su Murong, was the woman who snatched Xia Zhenxing away. She only gave birth to one daughter, Su Xingqian. So Su Xingqian and Su Yunqian were actually cousins. That's right. Xiao Qifeng has now inherited his father's business and is the CEO of the Xiao Group. Seems like you're all famous people. Which one of you suggested this? Of course it was me. Don't you think I'm the most interesting person who knows how to enjoy life? Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 43. Xiaodong held back her laughter. Yes, second young master. You know how to have fun. May I ask, what are the benefits for the winner? The 5 of us have jointly booked a luxury yacht. The winner will not only win the yacht, but the other 4 will also treat him to a meal and toast. I've already boasted that I'll definitely win. You must come and cheer for me. Bailey Yoon looked at her pitifully. His foxy eyes blinked again and again, constantly flirting with her. All right then. Come and pick me up on the weekend. Xia Dong looked very troubled on the surface, but in fact, she was overjoyed. Bailey Han was also participating. It was a godsend opportunity. I'll definitely win and take you sailing. He gave her a look that said, just you wait. Bailey Yoon sent her to the entrance of Xia Yun's neighborhood. He got out of the car like a gentleman and opened the car door for her. He rubbed her hair and said, go up quickly. Good night. Okay, be careful on the road. Xia Dong waved her hand and turned to go upstairs. When she arrived at her aunt's house, she found that his car was still parked downstairs. Just as she was puzzled, her phone rang. It was him. Are you upstairs? Yes, I'm here. Then I'm leaving. Remember to dream of me when you dream at night, my dear Xia Xia. Xia Dong was speechless. Bailey Yoon. Okay. No more jokes. See you tomorrow. A little dumpling came to her side and laughed mischievously. Mommy, who is it? Is it your new boyfriend? Mommy, are you planning to abandon Uncle Shin? Little brat, what nonsense are you talking about? What do you mean by new boyfriend? What do you mean by abandoning Uncle Shin? Mommy has never had a boyfriend, okay? Xia Dong hugged the little girl who was rubbing against her legs and pinched her chubby cheeks. Is there any gigai today? Yes. Xiao Guai nodded. I helped Grand Aunt choose the vegetables and helped brother draw. Good boy. Xia Dong looked at her son. What about Xiao Bao? Didn't you say you wanted to take revenge on Bailey E? How's it going? Ah, Xiao Guai held her cheeks and screamed. Brother, what did you do to Brother E? Xiao Bao face-bombed. Mom, why are you bringing this up in front of Gigai? She had forgotten that her daughter was not only a love-struck fool, but she also did not allow others to speak ill of the person she liked, let alone bully the person she liked. Big brother, hurry up and tell me. What did you do to Big Brother E? Xiao Guai's delicate nose twitched. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. All right, you like your brother E the most right now, don't you? I'm angry. Xiao Bao harumphed twice. His short arms hugged his shoulders, and with an arrogant look, he turned his body and ignored her. Xiao Guai jumped out of Xia Dong's arms and ran over to grab Xiao Bao's arm. She coquettishly tried to please him. Big brother, I still like you the most. Don't be angry. Humph. He turned to the other side and ignored her. Big brother, don't be angry. Humph. He turned again. All right, you can bully Brother E however you want. I don't care anymore. Big brother, don't be angry, okay? Xiao Guai did not know that her brother had an evil smile on his face. When he turned to face her again, his expression had changed to one of distress. Hey, Gigai, do you know how heartbroken your brother is? You actually helped an outsider and not me. Son, your acting was too much. So fake. Xia Dong looked at her son with disdain. However, her innocent daughter fell for his tricks. She rubbed against him to please him. I won't help him in the future. Big brother, don't be sad. Stupid girl, you still have to help your brother count the money when he betrays you. Xia Dong was deeply worried for her daughter. She cleared her throat and interrupted their conversation. Bao Bao, now tell me about the results of your day. Reporting to Mom, in order to take revenge on Bailey E, I did a total of 3 things today. First, I smeared superglue on his chair. Xia Dong's eyes lit up. Son, you're amazing. Did he run out of the classroom naked and crying? Xiao Bao puffed up his cheeks. Unfortunately, that was purely our imagination. The reality was that his deskmate was sitting on the chair. All right, I sympathize with his unlucky deskmate. Continue. Second, I sprinkled itchy powder in his wardrobe. I wanted to see him make a fool of himself in PE class, but I didn't expect him to be so tolerant. He clearly changed into sportswear stained with itchy powder, but he still persisted for the entire class. Xiao Bao sighed wryly. Xia Dong began to admire the kid named Bailey E. Her son had tested itchy powder on her body before. She couldn't stand the bone-deep itch, so she didn't know how he could endure for more than 40 minutes. As for the last one, I put an earthworm in his opaque glass. Ha 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 ha, he only found it after he drank half the glass of water. He threw the glass away on the spot. Although he didn't scream like a girl, his face turned pale. So he's not afraid of anything except for small worms. Xiao Bao became more excited as he spoke. He burst out laughing and rolled onto the bed. Ha ha, ah ha ha. He crashed into the blanket with a bang and rolled back and forth in the blanket like a puppy. Xiao Guai wiped his eyes with his chubby little hands. Woo woo, Brother E is so pitiful. Brother, don't take revenge in the future, okay? Xiao Bao stopped smiling and said seriously, I'll let it go this time. If he dares to bully you again, I'll take revenge on him. Brother, you're so nice, /3/. Humph. // Xiaodong took the two little guys home and washed them clean. Then she coaxed them to bed. She turned on her computer and ordered a good motorcycle. Humph. Knowing how to ride a motorcycle was her secret weapon. Ever since she entered junior high school, her aunt felt sorry for her and spent a lot of money to buy her a motorcycle. At that time, her motorcycle driving skills were very good. On the day of the race, 7:00 in the morning, Bailey Han and the other 4 people arrived at the starting point and saw a red motorcycle. On the motorcycle sat a person wearing a black helmet, black sportswear, and a black windbreaker. Bailey Han looked at Bailey Yun. Who is he? Bailey Yun smiled mysteriously. Brother, I told you 2 days ago that a mysterious person wants to join our race. He's my friend. You and Tianxing both know him. With 6 people, it'll be more lively. Xiao Qifeng had a gentle and elegant personality, so he did not have any objections. Bailey Han looked at the person indifferently. He's indeed very mysterious. He's wearing an eye patch and is dressed in black. Xiao Tianxing had always liked a lively scene. He was also very curious about who Bailey Yun's acquaintance was. He raised his eyebrows and smiled. Han, if you think he's a threat to you, you don't have to agree. Bailey Han raised his chin slightly, his deep eyes filled with pride. Tianxing, there's no need to provoke me. I agree to let him join the race. With one more defeated opponent, I'll win even more gloriously. Haha, Han, you're still so boastful. But I like it. Xiao Tianxing smiled and patted him on the shoulder. He whistled at the mysterious person who had been standing there. Okay, everyone, take your places. The race is about to start. 1, 2, 3, go! With a few roars, the starter made a harsh noise. The 6 motorcycles rushed out quickly, raising a cloud of dust. In the beginning, the 6 people's speed was about the same. Fortunately, the hillside was smooth and very wide, so the 6 motorcycles had no problem driving together. After driving for half an hour, Bailey Han, Bailey Yun, and the mysterious person began to take the lead. Not bad. That mysterious friend actually went side by side with the 2 racers. Sure enough, we can't underestimate him. Xiao Tianxing knew that there was no hope of winning the championship, so he began to slack off and made a joke. The race is not over yet. We don't know who will win. Su Jinan was the most serious of the 5 people. He began to chase after the mysterious person with all his strength. Su Jinan did catch up. His motorcycle narrowly brushed past the mysterious person's motorcycle. The people behind him could not help but feel frightened. Jinan, be careful. The championship is important, but your life is more important. Xiao Tianxing raised his voice and teased. Su Jinan soon caught up with Bailey Han and Bailey Yun. The mysterious person was 1 step behind the 3 of them. After 2/3 of the race, the situation began to reverse. The mysterious person rushed up and kept the same level as Bailey Han. Mysterious friend, come on. Han has always been the champion. I entrust the heavy responsibility of defeating Han to you. Xiao Tianxing was afraid that the mysterious person could not hear him, so he directly picked up the loudspeaker and shouted. Mysterious friend, come on. Come on. The other 4 people who were left behind were also cheering for him. Bailey Han deeply felt that he had made friends carelessly. How could he understand the psychology of the losers? Although they could not defeat him, It was also a very pleasant thing to see others defeat him. At the moment when they arrived at the destination, the mysterious person overtook Bailey Han. With a handsome flip, he stopped the motorcycle at the finish line and waited for Bailey Han. Bailey Han arrived at the same time. He stepped off the motorcycle and stared at the mysterious person with a pair of deep eyes. "You won. Please show your true identity." The mysterious person did not speak. Bailey Han took a step forward. "Who are you? The game is over. Don't be so mysterious." Several other people rushed over. Xiao Tianxing asked excitedly, "Did Han lose?" "Mysterious friend, you did a great job." Bailey Yun showed an enigmatic smile. "Show your true identity and let them see who you are." The mysterious person took off her helmet and blindfold and shook her head. Her black hair immediately fluttered in the wind and fell smoothly on her shoulders. She gathered her hair and looked at the men behind her with a smile. "Hello, my name is Xiaodong." Bailey Han was stunned at first, but then a feeling of contempt rose in his heart. She came to the race on purpose to attract everyone's attention, didn't she? Xiao Tianxing was excited as if he had found a treasure. "It's you. You're really something. You can actually overtake Han in racing. Do you have any secrets to teach me so that I can beat him once?" Xiaodong shrugged. "I'm sorry. Except for speed, I don't have any secrets to teach you." Xiao Qifeng smiled gently. "I didn't expect you to be so good at riding motorcycles as a girl. However, it's dangerous for girls to ride motorcycles. You'd better not ride them in the future." "Thank you for your concern. I'll keep your advice in mind." Xiaodong winked playfully. "Although I won the race, I don't want the prize. I'd better leave it to young Master Bailey. After all, I stuffed it in. Ha! Come and see." Xinwu 799. Chapter 44. Bailey Han's face darkened. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. I, Bailey Han, am not a sore loser. I don't need you to give me the prize. This was the first time he had lost, and the first time he had lost face. Nothing good ever came out of meeting this woman. "Wait a minute." Su Jinan, who had been silent all this time, spoke up. His gaze swept over Xiaodong proudly and landed on Bailey Yun. "I never said that she could compete." Bailey Yun spoke first. "You never said that Xiaodong couldn't compete either. Is that right, Qifeng Tianxing?" "Yes." The two people who were called out answered with a smile. Su Jinan said, "She won the competition as a woman. I'm not convinced. I want to compete with her again." "Mr. Su, if you're not convinced, I've already said that I don't want the prize, and I don't need to treat you to a meal. As for the competition, forgive me for not being able to accompany you. I'm very tired, and I want to go home and rest. I'll take my leave first. Bye, everyone." Xiaodong gracefully got on the motorcycle, put on the helmet, started the engine, and rushed out. Su Jinan's face darkened. No woman had ever dared to treat him like this. Bailey Yun and Xiao Tianxing looked at each other, and then laughed. Bailey Han looked in the direction that the black figure disappeared in, and suddenly felt that this woman didn't seem as annoying as he had imagined. "Today is a good day. What you wish for always comes true." Xiaodong drove the motorcycle home, humming all the way. She hugged Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai and kissed them fiercely. Xiao Bao wiped his face in disgust. "Mom, why are you so happy? Did you find money?" "It's even better than picking up money. Son, your mommy picked up a luxurious yacht, waha. This wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that she would have more opportunities to get close to Bailey Han. For example, she would have to treat him to a meal to express her gratitude for his mercy during the competition. She would also have to invite everyone to party on the yacht. She would have to wait until he forgave her, and then bring up the matter of borrowing his seed. He would probably agree to it. Xiaodong had a beautiful fantasy. Mom, you are starting to daydream again. But don't worry, your son will definitely earn a lot of money and buy you a yacht. After calculating, the stocks he bought had increased several times. Buying a yacht should not be a problem. Hey brat, are you looking down on your mother? Xiaodong knocked her son's forehead and told him about winning the competition. Wow Mom, so you're an expert. I'm impressed. Your mother won't fight an unprepared battle. For the past few days, I went out in the middle of the night. Where did you think I went? I went to train. Also, I heard that Bailey Han had been overseas on a business trip for the past 2 days. He just returned last night. He is tired. If you want to beat him, it will be a piece of cake. Mom, how do you know so much about it? Did you fall in love with Bailey Han? Xiao Bao's eyes were full of curiosity. Go away. Why are you, a child, asking so much about adult matters? Mommy, Xiao Bao hugged her and acted like a spoiled child. He blinked his eyes and acted cute. Mommy, I will help you seduce Bailey Han. Ha! You see, Bailey Han is rich and handsome. When he dies, Xiao Guai and I will be able to inherit a large amount of money. If he becomes our father, we won't lose anything. Are you serious? Xia Dong touched her son's forehead. He didn't have a fever. Aya, I'm telling the truth. Mom, you're not young anymore. It's time for you to start a family. Stop, don't try to fool me with your grandaunt's tricks. Get to the point. Why did you suddenly have such a shocking idea? Xiao Bao pouted and looked very wronged. Because other children said that Gigai and I don't have a daddy, so we want to find a daddy for ourselves. Mommy, Gigai also wants a daddy, her daughter's soft little body squeezed into her arms. Xia Dong was immediately at her wit's end. She felt that it was good to live without marriage and raise the children, but she neglected the fact that the children needed a father. A trace of guilt welled up in her heart. With a sour feeling, she hugged her son and daughter in her arms. Xiao Bao looked at his mother's sad eyes and felt quite guilty. In fact, he was lying to his mother when he said that he wanted a daddy. Today, he got the DNA test results and found out that Bailey Han was his and Xiao Guai's biological father. That was why he said that he wanted to help his mother seduce Bailey Han, but he also wanted to hide it from his mother. So he casually found an excuse. Humph, it must be that bad guy Bailey Han who abandoned the 3 of them, so he wanted to take revenge on him. He had already thought of a way to take revenge. He would help his mother seduce Bailey Han, then give birth to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 children to save Xiao Guai. Then, he would make his mother ruthlessly dump him. Although Bailey Han was unwilling to lose to a woman, under the pressure of Xiao Tiansheng and Bailey Yun, he had no choice but to treat them to a meal. He was the host and always had a sense of time, so he arrived at the restaurant a few minutes early to wait. In the end, everyone else had arrived, but Xia Dong was nowhere to be seen. This woman really knows how to put on airs. Bailey Han's face was cold, and he had the urge to slam the table and leave. She's a girl. She has to dress up. Bailey Yun rushed to explain. I think she'll look like an old witch without makeup. Su Jin, and had been humiliated by Xia Dong once. Now that he finally had a chance to beat her down, how could he let it go? Jin En, don't be so ungentlemanly. Xia only humiliated you once. Bailey Yun spoke up for Xia Dong again. Su Jin En's sharp eyes swept over him. Why do you keep speaking up for her? Is she one of your girlfriends? Bailey Han also looked over, as if curious about his answer. Bailey Yun's face darkened. Jin En, you can insult me, but you can't insult her. She's not that kind of woman. The atmosphere was a little tense. Xia Dong's crisp voice sounded at the right time. Sorry, there was a traffic jam on the way, so I'm late. Her outfit tonight was very compatible with the restaurant's antique ambience. She wore her hair in a very classical bun with a diamond-studded hairpin. She was wearing a silver-white brocade evening qipao, and the jade necklace around her neck was crystal clear. Not only did she look stunning, but she also had a very elegant aura. She ignored the 10 stunning eyes and reached out her hand to Bailey Han. Sorry, I'm late. Bailey Han touched her hand and said in a slightly mocking tone, Ladies should be forgiven for being late. Bailey Yun carefully laid out a napkin for her. Xia, do you want to drink something first? It's almost 8 o'clock. I think everyone's stomachs are starting to protest. Dinner can start now. Bailey Han didn't wait for Xia Dong to answer Bailey Yun's question and started to instruct the waiter. Bailey Han's words were extremely rude, but Xia Dong didn't mind. She smiled slightly. Master is right. It's time to eat. We can skip the wine before dinner. Bailey Han was originally unhappy with her for being late, But now she was mocking him for not being willing to part with a glass of wine. He was furious and his aura was below zero. The dinner with 5 men and 1 woman was very strange. Bailey Han wasn't a talkative person and ate with a cold face. Bailey Yun and Xiao Tianxing tried their best to adjust the atmosphere. From time to time, they would say a few witty words that made everyone laugh heartily. The atmosphere began to improve, and everyone's topics of conversation became wider and wider. They started to talk about leisure and entertainment, politics and business, and finally, investment and stock speculation. Although Xia Dong didn't know much about it, she had been exposed to it, especially when she was in Japan. She had learned a lot from Mika Kito, and it was enough to deal with the 5 men at the table. She didn't express her opinions much. She always smiled and watched the other party talk with assurance. Occasionally, she would insert her own opinion, which was always the finishing touch. After a few conversations, everyone could see that she wasn't simple. She wasn't just a beautiful vase like her appearance. Bailey Yun was the most surprised. Unknowingly, his Xia had grown into a beautiful butterfly. His gaze on her became more passionate. Xiao Tianxing wasn't stingy with his praise. Miss Xia has really impressed me. If Miss Xia starts her own business, I think you can succeed in less than 2 years. Xia Dong smiled and waved her hand. You want me to start my own business and become a strong woman? Spare me. I'm only an armchair strategist. I'm not like all of you. You're all business elites who have been on the battlefield for a long time. I don't dare to confront you directly. Xiao Qifeng smiled gently. Cutting through thorns isn't suitable for you. Why don't you come to my company? I'll leave the position of marketing director to you. Other men saw how good Xia Dong was. Bailey Yun felt sour in his heart. Are you serious? You're starting to poach her now. Xia, don't listen to him. A hard job like marketing director isn't suitable for you. He blinked his foxy eyes and smiled ambiguously. Why don't you be my private secretary? In your dreams. Xia Dong glared at him angrily. I don't want to be a good chief editor. Why would I run over to serve tea to young master? How can you say that? She had intended to glare at him, but because her eyes were extremely beautiful and the corners of her lips were curved, she seemed to be pouting coquettishly and unintentionally revealed a charming posture. Bailey Yun's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. His eyes flashed with an inexplicable light. Bailey Han saw this scene and thought that she and Bailey Yun were exchanging flirtatious glances. He felt an inexplicable sense of irritation in his heart. After the meal, Xiao Tianxing suggested, Han, why don't you give the prize to Xia? After the meal, everyone began to get familiar with each other and abandoned the titles of Mr., Miss and Mr., especially Xiao Tianxing, who acted like they were close to each other. He followed Bailey Yun and called Xia Dong, Xia, which made Bailey Yun roll his eyes several times. Bailey Han didn't know if it was because he was provoked by the words, Xia, but his expression became even worse. He casually picked up a file from the tray and pushed it in front of Xia Dong. This is all the yacht's licenses and permits. From now on, it's yours. Thank you everyone for your kindness. Xia Dong picked up the file and thanked them profusely. If you don't mind, I want to hold a party on the yacht next weekend and invite everyone to attend. I don't know if anyone would be willing to do me the honor? Xiao Tianxing was the first to agree. Sure, I know a bay. The scenery is very charming. Xiao Qifeng said that he would definitely attend. Su Jinan said that he didn't have time. Bailey Yun would definitely join in the fun. Only Bailey Han remained silent. Xia Dong was also looking forward to Bailey Han's answer. After all, he had done all this just to get Bailey Han on board. Master, what do you think? Bailey Han lowered his eyes and shook the red wine in his hand. Sorry, I'm not interested in parties. Come and see. Xinwu 799. Chapter 45. Go ahead, Han. It's rare for us to hang out together. Didn't you say that Yun Qian wanted to hang out with us? We can take advantage of this opportunity. Yeah, you haven't had a vacation in a long time. Take it as a chance to relax. Bailey Han was unmoved. There's no need. I don't like crowds, especially with people of unknown backgrounds. He looked up at her as if he was implying something. Xiaodong was about to explode from anger. Even if he pretended not to know her, it was too much. What do you mean by unknown backgrounds? Bailey Han, you're even more annoying than you were 5 years ago. If she had something to ask of him, she wouldn't tolerate his bad temper. Xiaodong clenched her fists and laughed again. Then, on Friday, I'll contact everyone to confirm your itinerary. When Bailey Han's car drove into the villa, it was already past 11 o'clock. The lights upstairs were still on. He used his fingerprint to open the door. There was no one in the living room, and the door to his room was ajar. Soft light poured out, and a faint fragrance filled the air. He pushed the door open and walked in. Yun Qian? There was no answer. Bailey Han frowned. Perhaps he had guessed wrongly. Yun Qian didn't come over. He turned around to lock the door. Before he could turn around, a soft body hugged him tightly from behind. He could clearly feel her softness rubbing against his back. The place where the two of them were pressed together was hot, and a faint fragrance wafted over, causing his body to stiffen. Yun Qian. His voice was already a little hoarse when he spoke. Han, why are you back so late? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Su Yunqian's soft little hand slowly slid down his chest and unconsciously drew circles on his body. Bailey Han took a deep breath and suddenly turned around. He gazed deeply at her. Why are you here? I missed you. Didn't you miss me? Su Yunqian's delicate and beautiful face had a trace of shyness, and her watery eyes were full of affection as she looked at him. She took a step forward and pressed herself against his body. He instinctively stepped back and pressed his back against the door. Her soft body fell into his embrace and her delicate hand touched his firm chin, following the perfect curve of his jaw. Yun Qian, don't be like this. Bailey Han grabbed her little hand that was lighting the fire. His deep eyes surged with a strange undercurrent. You obviously miss me too. Why don't you admit it? Su Yunqian bit down on his chest as if she was taking revenge. Her moist and sticky little tongue nimbly played with him. Click. The switch was turned off. In the darkness, vision was greatly limited, but other senses were magnified several times. Bailey Han could even hear her heartbeat. She rubbed against the spot where the two of them were pressed together like a snake. His breathing became more and more rapid, and his eyes flashed with a dangerous light. He suddenly turned over and pressed her against the door. He covered her mouth with a punishing kiss, trapping her in a small space without leaving a trace of space. When the passion was burning fiercely, his brain was like a string that was stretched taut, and that string broke just as he was about to release it. His mind was blank. A great emptiness surged in like a tide. He pushed her away forcefully, and the forceful movement caused her to hit the door. He heard her stifled sobs. I'm sorry, Yun Qian. I didn't mean to. He quickly turned on the light and checked her injuries. Su Yunqian hugged her shoulders and squatted on the ground. She was barefooted, her hair was messy, and the bathrobe on her was torn open, revealing her body. She sobbed softly like an injured little animal. She was completely different from the elegant goddess she usually was. I'm sorry. He hugged her tenderly and stroked her soft hair to comfort her. Why not? Why can't you do it? Do you not love me anymore? Did you fall in love with someone else? Su Yunqian shook him like a crazy person, and a series of questions blurted out. Don't be silly. The only person I love is you. Bailey Han carefully patted her back to comfort her, and his voice was gentle. Then why don't you want me? Although it was embarrassing to ask such a question, Su Yunqian couldn't care less. Ever since that incident 5 years ago, she found that Bailey Han didn't seem to have any desire for her. No matter how she teased him, how she nitpicked, he would always stop at the crucial moment. Bailey Han didn't know how to answer her. Even he didn't know the answer. When faced with her temptation, he felt something, but every time he wanted to take the last step, there would always be a strange sense of emptiness in his body. No matter how he tried to fill it up, it was not enough. Naturally, he didn't have the interest to continue. Let's break up. There's no way we can continue. Su Yunqian looked up at him with tears in her eyes. She looked so pitiful, and he couldn't help but feel pity for her. He gently kissed her delicate lips and kissed away the tears at the corner of her eyes. Don't be silly. Believe me, as long as we get married, everything will be better. Her eyes were filled with sadness and anticipation. You'll marry me? Even if Xiao Yi doesn't agree, you will still marry me? Aren't we already engaged? He kissed her. As for Xiao Yi, I will talk to him. Imperial Kindergarten was the elite kindergarten in a city. Almost all the prestigious families in a city sent their children here. Every time school was over, there would be hundreds of luxury cars parked at the school gate. It was even more ostentatious than a car show. People like Xia Dong, who took a taxi to pick up their child, were simply different. She did not mind, but she was worried that it would affect the child's psychological state. Therefore, after she got her driver's license, the first thing she did was to buy a BMW that was not too shabby compared to the other cars outside the kindergarten. When the little guys saw her appear at the school gate, Xiao Bao didn't have much of a reaction. Xiao Guai cheered and jumped into her arms. Mommy, you're here. Xia Dong held the children in each hand and walked to her parking space. Darlings, look at Mommy's new car. Do you like it? I like it. Xiao Guai excitedly touched here and there. Mommy's new car is so beautiful. Xiao Bao nodded calmly. It's not bad. He leaned back on the soft cushion, took out his small computer, and tapped away on it. He said lazily, Mom, didn't you win a yacht 2 days ago? When are you going to take us out to play? Xia Dong started the car and said, In a few days. Mommy is going to invite a group of friends this weekend. Xiao Bao looked up at her lazily. Is Bailey Han going too? Ah, he's not going. Hey Mom, at this speed, when will you be able to seduce him? Her son slammed the computer shut and rolled his eyes. Mom, this yacht party is a good opportunity. You can't miss it. I know, but if he doesn't want to go, I'll think of a way for you. Don't worry. I'll definitely trick him onto the yacht. The little girl propped her chin up with one hand and had a mischievous smile on her pink cheeks. She looked like a sly fox. The silver BMW slowly drove out of the parking lot and passed by a black Rolls-Royce. Xiao Guai excitedly stuck to the window and waved her chubby little hand to greet the person outside the car. Brother Yi, see you tomorrow. Xia Dong knew that her daughter was greeting the child named Bailey Yi. She glanced out the window curiously. He saw a little boy in a gray suit standing next to the Rolls-Royce with a small bow tie around his neck. His hair was combed neatly, and his delicate and perfect facial features seemed to be carved. His small body was not tall, but he stood upright, and his whole body exuded an innate noble and domineering aura. Bailey Yi only glanced over indifferently. His thin lips were pursed and he did not show any expression. He was indeed an outstanding child. No wonder her infatuated daughter was so infatuated with him. Stop looking. We're already far away, Xiao Bao said sourly as he glanced at his sister who was leaning against the window, reluctant to leave. Brother, don't be angry. Brother is still the most handsome. Xiao Guai hugged her brother's arm fawningly. Xia Dong listened to their chattering behind her and shook her head in amusement. Her lips also curled up. On the other side, Bailey Yi sat in the back seat of the Rolls-Royce expressionlessly. Even in the car, his posture was as straight as a pine tree. With one look, one could tell that he was a well-educated child with strong self-control. The chauffeur said, Little master, today is the 15th. Young master wants to go back to the old mansion to visit old madam and old master. So he instructed me to bring you to the old mansion. On his small face, his thin lips were slightly pursed as he replied with an Then, he seemed to have thought of something and frowned. Is that woman going too? Yes. His pink lips were pursed even tighter. A hint of disgust appeared in his sparkling gem-like eyes. He hated that woman. He hated the smell of her perfume. He hated her masked smile. He did not want her to be his mother. The Rolls-Royce sped along the road. After driving for a long time, it turned into a tree-lined avenue. After driving for nearly 10 minutes, a tall iron gate and a tall wall appeared in front of them. The carved iron gate opened automatically. As they walked further in, a tall castle-like villa gradually appeared in front of them. 2 rows of servants stood neatly at the entrance of the villa and bowed their heads respectfully. Little master, welcome home. Bailey Yi nodded indifferently. Aya, baby E is back. Just as he walked to the entrance, old Madam Bailey happily welcomed him. She bent down and pinched his little cheeks. Baby E, you haven't come back to see great-grandma in a long time. Did you miss Great-Grandma? Great-Grandma, can you let go of me first? My face has been kneaded into dumpling stuffing by you. Bailey E helplessly frowned. Who asked our baby E to be so cute? Come, let Great-Grandma kiss you. Old Madam hugged him and kissed him fiercely. The nanny quickly helped her hold Bailey E. After all, Old Madam was old. It would be terrible if little master fell. Grandma, don't spoil Xiaoyi like this. Boys will be spoiled if they are spoiled. Bailey Han held Su Yunqian's arm and walked into the hall. Nonsense. When you were young, I spoiled you a lot too. Why didn't I spoil you? Old Madam angrily stomped her walking stick. I think you are deliberately trying to drive a wedge between Xiaoyi and me. Bailey Han tried hard to resist the urge to roll his eyes. He really doubted that his rigid father was this old lady's biological son. Grandma, which soap opera have you been hooked on recently? What? She would not tell them that she had been hooked on the feud between rich families. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 46. Is that so? Bailey Han said faintly, I heard that the most popular Taiwanese drama is going to broadcast the male lead being hit by a car today. The old madam was so anxious that she stomped her walking stick. Aya, it must be the male lead's half-brother's doing. He's been wanting to take over the family property for a long time. And that bad female supporting lead, she must have instigated this. These bad guys are simply too hateful. The corner of Bailey Han's mouth twitched. What else could he do other than tolerate this old child? Su Yunqian walked over gracefully. She held the old madam's arm with one hand and patted Bailey Yi's head with the other. Grandma, Xiaoyi just came back from kindergarten. He must be tired. Let's take him upstairs to rest for a while, okay? The old madam nodded in satisfaction and once again ravaged her pink cheeks. That's good too. It's rare for you to come. You and Xiaoyi should cultivate your relationship. Thank you, Grandma. Su Yunqian thanked her gently and wanted to hold Bailey Yi's little hand. Xiaoyi, let's go. Bailey Yi shook off her hand with a cold face. He didn't even look at her and walked upstairs. He didn't want an annoying woman to hold his hand. Bailey Yi, stop right there. Bailey Han sternly called out to him. Bailey Yi stopped, turned around, and stood on the high steps. He didn't show any fear towards his father's anger. His tall and straight little body exuded a fierce aura, and his dark eyes coldly looked at the people in the hall. Where did all the manners you've learned go? Apologize to Aunt Yunqian. I didn't do anything wrong. I won't apologize to her. Bailey Han's face became even uglier. He knew that his son didn't like Su Yunqian. No, to be exact, he didn't like any woman getting close to him. However, Su Yunqian was the woman he would marry in the future. He hoped that they could coexist peacefully, and not treat her like an enemy like this. He stepped forward and stood at the top of the stairs. His voice was even colder. Aunt Yunqian will be your mommy in the future. I won't allow you to be so rude. You must apologize today. Bailey Yi looked at him stubbornly. I won't accept her as my mommy. Bailey Han was completely furious after being challenged by his son again and again. I'm informing you, not asking for your opinion. You don't have the right to say no. Bailey Yi pursed his thin lips and clenched his small fists tightly. He raised his head and puffed out his chest. His small body seemed to be trembling slightly, and a layer of mist gradually gathered in his black eyes. However, he clenched his teeth. He would never allow himself to show any weakness in front of others. Daddy wanted a strong and independent heir, so he had to force himself to do it. Okay, Han, what are you doing? Su Yunqian saw the heartache on the old madam's face. She took the initiative to persuade Bailey Han. Xiaoyi is still young. Don't scare him. The old madam hugged Bailey Yi's little body with heartache. Baby Yi, don't be sad. Great-grandma loves you. Bailey Yi looked down at his toes. His straight nose twitched, and he stubbornly held back the tears in his eyes. He wasn't going to cry. Only cowardly men would cry. He glared fiercely at Su Yunqian, who was gently persuading his father. He retreated from his great-grandmother's embrace and ran upstairs. He ran to his bedroom in one breath and slammed the door with a bang. He rubbed his nose in grievance. Mommy, where are you? Why did you abandon Xiao Yi? He locked himself in his room and refused to open the door no matter who knocked. In the end, Bailey Han was so angry that he asked the butler to bring a spare key. He opened the door and found that the door was blocked by something heavy. He called a few servants and pushed the door open. Bailey Han was filled with anger. He wanted to grab his son and teach him a lesson. However, he found that the room was empty. There wasn't even a shadow in sight. The window was wide open, and there were traces of iron chains on the windowsill. That bastard brat, he actually slipped away. He punched the windowsill. His handsome face was distorted with anger. Housekeeper, call all the bodyguards in the house. There were more than a dozen bodyguards and servants, but none of them noticed that the young master had sneaked away. The situation was very serious. The old madam finally showed her authority and punished everyone. She also personally contacted the police chief and asked him to help investigate Bailey Yi's whereabouts. Damn it, it was almost dark. Where could he have gone? Bailey Han was anxious and angry, but at the same time, he admired his son. That little guy actually hacked the villa security system and jumped down from the second floor with professional mountaineering equipment. Then, he rode his own scooter and ran away from home. Bailey Yi knew that his family would definitely send bodyguards to look for him if they found out that he was missing. Therefore, he rode his scooter to a remote road and hid behind a bush. He took out a small white cell phone and skillfully dialed a string of numbers. Hello, second uncle. I'm Xiao Yi. I ran away from home. Come and pick me up. Don't tell my daddy. My exact location is... Bailey Yun was convinced that Bailey Yi, that little brat, was born to torture him. When the little brat first learned to speak, he called him Playboy. When the little brat was learning to walk, he pestered him every day. He rode on his neck and circled the old house again and again. When the little brat was 3 years old, he stole his precious Japanese adult education film and cut it into pieces. When the little brat was 4 years old, he shaved off all the fur of his beloved dog, Dodo, causing Dodo to feel inferior for a long time and almost suffer from depression. Now, the little brat was almost 5 years old. He ran away from home and actually asked his second uncle to help him hide it from the world. Bailey Yun smiled bitterly and shook his head. In the end, he still said goodbye to his group of bad friends and said goodbye to the colorful nightlife in the bar. He bitterly jumped on his 2 flashy red sports car and went to the place the little brat pointed out to pick him up. When Bailey Yun rushed to the location without stopping, a certain little brat was lying on his 2 scooters and happily playing games. Kill him, kill him. Yeah. Bailey Yun's mouth twitched and knocked on his head. Hey little brat, get on. Second uncle. You're really my biological second uncle. Bailey E jumped up and hugged him. He grinned and his eyes narrowed into a line. Image. Pay attention to your image. Bailey Yun was too lazy to ridicule him. This little brat, in front of other people and his father, pretended to be a decent person, but in front of him, he revealed his true colors. He had no image to speak of. Nonsense, why would I pretend in front of you? The little brat actually rolled his eyes. He took out a lollipop from his bag and put it in his mouth and licked it. Oh, it's so sweet. Indeed, only sweets can heal him. I really should take a picture of your current image and send it to your group of infatuated girls in kindergarten. Your image in their hearts will definitely collapse immediately. Bailey Yun shook his head and sighed. He grabbed him by the back of his collar and dragged him to the seat. Don't be in a hurry to eat the candy. Fasten your seat belt. I know, let's go, second uncle. Bailey Yun was worried and checked his seat belt. After confirming that there was no problem, he started the car. Second uncle, where are we going? Why don't we go to your favorite charm club? The little brat's eyes flashed with a different kind of light. Bailey Yun slapped him on the head. Why don't you learn well at such a young age? Are those messy places for you to go? Don't forget, you're the successor of the Bailey family in the future. You have to be steady, wise, and... I have to keep myself clean. The little brat rolled his eyes. I've heard these words so many times that my ears are getting calluses. Don't worry, I'm not interested in those women. I just want to know what you adults do at night. Bailey Yun coughed and pressed his head again. No matter what, you can't go to those places. Tell me, why did you run away from home? Bailey E lowered his head unhappily. Daddy is going to marry Su Yunqian. Bailey Yun raised his eyebrows. Didn't you already know? He snorted. But Daddy yelled at me because of her. That woman is obviously a hypocrite. I hate her. Bailey Yun didn't say anything else and just patted his head. Bailey Yun brought him to the apartment he bought. Fortunately, there were hourly cleaners to clean up the place every day, so the house was still presentable. He ordered pizza delivery, and the two of them sat on the floor, eating while watching cartoons and laughing happily. Okay, go to bed early. I'll take you to school tomorrow. Bailey Yun patted his head and chased him to bed. Back in his bedroom, Bailey Yun dialed a string of numbers. Brother, Xiao Yi is with me. I'll take him to school tomorrow. Okay, don't worry, I'll take good care of him. You should rest early too. Although Xiao Yi didn't want him to tell him, the little brat ran away from home. The old mansion must be in a mess, so he decided to be a good person for once. Since when did he want to be a good person? Bailey Yun smiled bitterly. After showering, he went to the little brat's room. He was already asleep. His high nose bridge and small lips reminded him of that person. On the other side, after Bailey Han hung up the phone, he stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the night sky outside. His anxious heart finally calmed down. Su Yunqian hugged him from behind and said softly, Since Xiao Yi is with Ah Yun, you don't have to worry. Bailey Han held her hand. They had been together for 5 years, but he had always been worried about Xiao Yi's feelings, so he hadn't walked down the aisle. In his heart, he was very grateful to her. He was grateful that she was willing to give him time. He took her hand and kissed it. I'm sorry, Yunqian. I made you suffer. She threw herself into his arms and said softly, Don't think too much. Children need to be coaxed sometimes. Don't push him too hard. Otherwise, if something like today happens again, we'll be the ones worried. He hugged her gently and lowered his head to kiss her lips gently. A red sports car stopped in front of Imperial Kindergarten. The door opened and a little boy in a neat suit jumped out. He stood upright and waved at the handsome man in the driver's seat. Bye-bye, second uncle. Bailey Yun waved at him too. Hurry up and go in. Don't run around after school. Wait for your daddy to pick you up. Got it. Drive carefully. Bailey E stood where he was and watched the red sports car disappear from his sight. He didn't walk towards the kindergarten. Instead, he walked towards another fork in the road and stopped a taxi. His small face was expressionless. Uncle, please go to the amusement park. Kid, why are you going to the amusement park alone? The driver asked curiously. Uncle, you just need to drive. There was a hint of impatience on his face. Add, Song Shu 566. Chapter 47. Although he was young, his body naturally exuded a domineering aura. The driver was slightly stunned and did not dare to ask any more questions. He really drove the car to the entrance of the amusement park. Bailey E took out a banknote and said, Keep the change. He quickly jumped out of the car. So this was the amusement park. He had never been here before. Every time he saw other children go to the amusement park with their parents, he was silently envious. He also told Daddy that he wanted to go to the amusement park, but Daddy said that that kind of place was not suitable for him because he was different from other children. He was the future successor of the Bailey Group. He had to be strong and independent and could not play such childish games. I want to ride the roller coaster. Little boy, you can't ride the roller coaster alone without your parents. I want to ride this. Little boy, where are your parents? Bailey E was very depressed. What's wrong with being a child? What's wrong with not being accompanied by parents? They actually did not let him play. This was too much. The young master was angry, very angry. He puffed up his cheeks and reluctantly took one last look at the roller coaster. He stomped his feet and carried his small school bag all the way out of the amusement park. When he got home tonight, he was going to write a plan. He was going to buy this amusement park. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio. If he could not play, he would go to see the animal parts. The young master twisted and turned as he carried his small backpack. After twisting through the streets, he followed the GPS and found the zoo. Next to the zoo was the side entrance of a famous university. There was a group of strange people surrounding the entrance. He decisively withdrew his gaze. He hated schools the most. The young master who skipped class walked into the zoo awkwardly. Although it was the largest zoo in the country, there were not many people in the zoo on weekdays. Bailey easily reached the front of the tiger park. Through the glass window, 2 newborn cubs lay quietly in their mother's arms. Sometimes they stretched out their paws to naughtily scratch the tigress's nose, rubbed her head, or ran and jumped around the tigress with their tails up. The tigress looked at her babies tenderly. Sometimes she stretched out her pink tongue to lick their cheeks. Sometimes she adjusted her lying position to make her babies feel more comfortable. The young master lay in front of the glass window. His clear eyes couldn't help but reveal a hint of admiration when he caught a glimpse of the tigress lovingly rubbing against the cheeks of the little tiger. Xiaodong took 2 pictures of the tiger and put her phone into her handbag with satisfaction. She planned to show it to Bao Bao and Gigai in the evening. Glamour magazine held a marketing event at the university next to the zoo. The event went smoothly, and she had time to come to the zoo to have a look. If the children liked it, she planned to take them to the zoo on the weekend. When she turned around, she saw a little boy beside her, staring at the tiger intently. There were no adults around. Could it be that some family's child had gone missing? Bailey keenly sensed that someone was looking at him. It was as if someone had caught his pigtail. He felt guilty and wanted to hide his gaffe. He quickly pulled his face away from the glass window and stood there stiffly. After a brief moment of guilt, he turned to face her, his lips tightly pursed as he scrutinized her. This child looked very familiar. Xiaodong narrowed her eyes. She remembered. Wasn't this the little handsome boy, Bailey whom her daughter had waved goodbye to yesterday? Why was he here? Xiaodong walked towards him. Bailey watched her walk towards him quietly. His eyes were guarded and curious. She walked in front of him, squatted down and asked gently, "Little friend, are you lost?" "I'm not a little friend." Bailey lifted his chin and declared arrogantly. He really resembled her little old man. Xiaodong smiled knowingly. "Are you lost?" "I never get lost." He frowned. Her question was undoubtedly an insult to him. "Do you need me to take you to mommy?" Although she didn't know why he would appear here during class, she still kindly suggested it. Seeing that she didn't take his words seriously, the young master was in a bad mood. He emphasized again, "I'm not lost. I believe you're not lost, but it's very dangerous outside. Do you need me to help you contact your mommy?" Xiaodong simply didn't want him to get hurt, but her unintentional words touched his sore spot. He suddenly said, "Don't say any more, do you hear me?" It was an order. Bailey Yi's sudden anger surprised her, but she quickly understood. She was almost fooled by his harmless appearance and almost forgot that he had splashed Gigai with coke. He was still very strong and had a lot of patience. He wasn't an ordinary child. She shrugged and remained in a half-squatting position. "All right, I won't say any more. However, your family might be worried." Bailey pursed his lips and didn't answer her. He walked past her and stood in front of the glass window. His gaze was fixed on the tigress who was playing with the little tiger inside. Xiaodong shouldn't care about him anymore, but his small back seemed a little lonely. His gaze was also a little lonely. She really couldn't understand why a child who was supposed to be innocent and lively would have such a gaze. Her heart softened and she walked to his side. "Do you like them a lot?" "They're so young." He didn't answer her question. "Because they were just born. Their mother is so good to them." There was a hint of envy in her tone. "This is the nature of animals. It's the same for humans." He pursed his lips in disdain. "Not all humans are like this." As he refuted her, there was a faint sadness in his clear eyes. Xiaodong was sharp enough to notice the change in his emotions. When she connected the dots with his sudden anger, she understood what was going on. She instantly felt pity for him. She tried her best to soothe his sorrow. "That's because they had their own reasons for doing so. You adults always attribute things that can't be done to having no choice." His voice was filled with anger. It was so sharp that it wanted to tear apart everyone's pretense. Xiaodong's heart skipped a beat. The memories buried deep in her heart had been ruthlessly dug up. She almost didn't dare to look into his sharp eyes. She clenched her fists and said slowly, "You're right. There are always times when adults make mistakes. There are always times when they are weak. They use the excuse that they have no choice, but in reality, they just want to reduce the guilt in their hearts. His gaze was like a torch that penetrated deep into her heart. Are you like this too? Although her heart was bleeding, she still chose to speak the truth. Yes, I've made mistakes before. I've been weak before. Then do you regret it? She said word by word, all the time. He stared into her eyes. What if you were given a chance to choose again? Her face turned pale. Even if she was given a chance to choose again, she would still choose that path because she didn't have the ability to protect the person she loved. He could tell her choice from her silence. His thin lips curled into a cynical smile. Cheap regret. No, it's not. What a joke. She was actually being mocked by a child who had exposed her bloody scar. His face returned to its cold expression. He didn't look at her again and turned to leave. Xiaodong stood there in a daze. If it wasn't for Bailey Yi's words, she really thought that she had forgotten about that incident. She had forgotten that she was lying in the delivery room and the child who was forcefully taken away. She didn't know when, but tears had covered her eyes. Bailey Han had just finished a meeting when he received a call from his son's form teacher saying that the child didn't come to school. According to Bailey Yun's feedback, he had sent the child to school on time in the morning. There was only one possibility, and that was that his son had skipped class. Running away from home and skipping class were all very serious crimes in his eyes. Thus, after Bailey Yi was dragged back from the beach by the butler, what awaited him was a storm. Kneel down. When he walked into the living room, he saw his father sitting on the sofa and coldly ordering him. He pursed his lips and silently knelt down. His small body was straight, and there was no fear or surprise on his face. Where did you go? Bailey Han tried to suppress his anger, but to no avail. He was emitting a cold aura, and all the servants in the villa were as silent as cicadas in winter. Bailey Yi answered honestly, the amusement park, the zoo, and the beach. What did you do? He tried to convince himself that he couldn't be like his father and act arbitrarily. He had to give his son the right to refute. He even believed that he actually had something important to do. Oh damn it. A 4-year-old child skipping class. What kind of damned business could he have? I went to the amusement park to play because I wanted to see what other children were playing. I went to the zoo because I liked animals. I went to the beach because I had nowhere else to go. You're really honest. Bailey Han's facial muscles twitched. He felt that his son was simply testing his patience. What else do you want to say? Her fair and tender face was still calm. No more. Do you know what you did wrong? I know. I shouldn't have run away from home. I shouldn't have skipped class. If you do something wrong, you have to accept the punishment. You're not allowed to eat dinner tonight. You have to copy the family rules 50 times before you can go to bed. Okay. If there's a next time, I'll send you to an aristocratic school in England. Bailey Han looked at his son kneeling in the living room. On the surface, he looked serious and obedient, but from his rebellious eyes, he knew that he was not convinced. She immediately felt a sense of helplessness. How could such an obedient child suddenly rebel? Understood. Get up. After teaching his son a lesson, Bailey Han called all the servants. Tonight, no one is allowed to send food to the young master. Also, no one is allowed to tell the old madam about the young master's punishment. If the old madam of the old mansion knew that his son was punished, she would definitely intervene. Then, his painstaking efforts to teach his son would go down the drain. At around 10 o'clock in the evening, Bailey Han finished dealing with the official business he brought back from the company. He called the butler. How many times does the young master have to copy the family rules? 50 times. Bailey Han's face immediately darkened. How long had it been? Why hadn't he started copying? Did he not take his words seriously? Seeing that he was angry, the butler hurriedly handed him a document. Young master, don't be angry. Although the young master hasn't copied the family rules, he has written a proposal for you. Opening the proposal, Bailey Han's pupils suddenly shrank. He quickly skimmed through the 10-page proposal. His heart suddenly accelerated. Shock, surprise, and some complex feelings exploded in an instant, causing his hands to tremble slightly. This was written by the young master himself? Yes, young master. Beauty novel, Song Shu 566. Chapter 48. As soon as Bailey Han finished speaking, he grabbed the proposal book and rushed out of the door. He rushed to his son's room. His son was sitting in front of the small desk. His beautiful eyebrows were slightly knitted. He held a pen in his right hand and carefully copied the family rules on a piece of white paper. Daddy. Seeing him come in, he put down the pen in his hand and stood up politely. For some reason, Bailey Han felt a little uncomfortable when he saw his son so obedient. His deep eyes showed a trace of tenderness. He pointed to the proposal book and asked, "Why did you think of writing this proposal?" Bailey puffed up his cheeks and said seriously, "The day before yesterday, I heard Daddy talking to Uncle Lu on the phone. I knew that Shanghao Group was going to buy a piece of land and prepare to explore a new investment direction. I went to the amusement park today and came up with this idea. Daddy can invest in the creation of a parent-child park that integrates tourism, entertainment, animation, and catering. Disneyland is already a very successful example. Although his plan wasn't perfect, there was no problem with the overall direction and concept. He even proposed several effective emergency measures. He was only 4 years old. How did he come up with so many ideas? He was very proud that he had a genius son. Bailey Han had always been good at controlling his emotions, but now he could not help but be excited. He held his son in his arms. "Tell Daddy, why do you want to establish a parent-child park?" His soft body lay in his arms obediently. Even his voice was soft and tender. "Because I want all the children to feel Daddy and Mommy's love for them in the amusement park." Bailey Han shuddered and hugged his son even tighter. He had almost forgotten that his son was a single-parent child. He did not have a mother since he was young. It was only when he was 1 year old that he asked about his mother. At that time, everyone in the family was tight-lipped about his mother. He was smart enough not to ask about it again. He thought that his son was used to life without a mother. He ignored his feelings and felt very guilty. A pair of soft little hands hugged his neck and the little head carefully rubbed against his chin. He heard his son's low voice. "Daddy, the last time you hugged me was when I was 3 years old." Bailey Han's body stiffened. He was not used to being touched by others, even if it was his son. Ever since he was born, the number of times he had been hugged could be counted with his fingers. He patted his little back stiffly and said uncomfortably, "Daddy will hug you more in the future." "Great!" His son cheered, but in the blink of an eye, he revealed a lonely look. "Daddy has never played with me before. Daddy, can you occasionally accompany me when you're not busy?" he asked carefully. His little face was full of anticipation, so he couldn't bear to reject him. "Daddy will spend more time with you in the future." "Daddy, we haven't had a meal together in a long time. I'll wait for Daddy to come home every day so we can eat together, okay?" Other than going back to the old mansion to eat at the same table with Daddy, Daddy came home very late every day in the villa. "No, Daddy will come home early in the future and eat with Xiao. Guilt was like a tide, almost drowning him. He turned out to be such an incompetent father. "Daddy, I'm not dreaming, am I? Why did Daddy suddenly become so kind and easy to talk to?" He was worried that he was dreaming. When he woke up, Daddy would become the cold and serious Daddy again. "No, you're not." He kissed his son's forehead. It was his son who ran away from home yesterday that made him suddenly realize that his son was a very important person in his life. He could not lose him. Xiaodong held her daughter's soft little hand and walked out of the hospital. She brought her daughter for a routine checkup, but the results were not ideal. Her daughter's various bodily functions were deteriorating, her anemia was worsening, and the hematopoietic cells in her blood were decreasing at an accelerated rate. The doctor said that her daughter's external symptoms would become more and more serious. In a few months, she might even have to lie in the hospital every day. He suggested that the child undergo an umbilical cord blood transplant as soon as possible. Umbilical cord blood. Umbilical cord blood. She hadn't even successfully borrowed the seed, so how could she extract the same gene cord blood? At the dining table, Xiaodong was vexed as she thought about the next step of her plan. She didn't even notice that her chopsticks were reaching for the braised fish that she hated the most. Xiao Guai quickly reminded her, Mommy, fish, you've got fish. Ha! Xiaodong ate 2 mouthfuls of rice with the fish before she reacted. She spat out the rice in her mouth and rinsed her mouth, but she still felt that the fishy taste was very strong. Mom, you can't even focus on eating. What are you worried about? Xiao Bao was speechless and pursed his lips. Ah, really? I'm not worried. Xiaodong refused to admit it. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes and snorted. The word worry is carved on your face, okay? Don't tell me you're worried about the party on the yacht the day after tomorrow? Bailey Han still doesn't agree to attend the party? Xiaodong face-bombed and pretended to be sad. Son, you're so smart. Mom feels so pressured. Xiao Bao couldn't stand it and made a gesture of disgust. He patted his mother's arm maturely. Mom, don't worry. Your genius son has already thought of a way. After dinner, his little body rushed back to his small room like a cannonball. He hugged his small laptop and sat cross-legged on the sofa. His 10 fingers tapped on the keyboard and then he raised his chin proudly at his mother. Okay, it's done. So fast? Is it okay? Of course it's okay. Her suspicious gaze made him very unhappy. He explained to her seriously, I sent an email in the name of Bailey Han to Bailey Han's secretary and asked her to contact Su Yunqian's assistant. On April 13th, which is the day after tomorrow, Bailey Han will give her a surprise on the yacht Dream, at 7 o'clock in the evening. Xiaodong understood immediately. She excitedly rubbed her son's hair. When Su Yunqian gets on the yacht and realizes that Bailey Han isn't there, she will definitely contact him. I'll ask Bailey Yun to persuade Su Yunqian and trick Bailey Han into coming over. Son, you're a genius. I love you so much. She hugged him excitedly and nibbled on his pink cheeks a few times. Suddenly, she felt that something was wrong. How did you get Bailey Han's email? He raised his chin disapprovingly and said proudly, I hacked his email and also dealt with all the stubs. When the time comes, he won't even know that someone used his email to send things. Xiaodong kissed him on the cheek and nodded solemnly. Believe in your son and you'll live forever. Thank God for giving her such a genius son. Things went very smoothly. Bailey Han's secretary received the email early the next morning and immediately contacted Su Yunqian's assistant to express the CEO's intention in the email. The CEO wanted to keep this matter confidential and wanted to give Miss Su a surprise. Su Yunqian's assistant was also very smart. When she conveyed the invitation to Su Yunqian, she emphasized the word surprise. At the same time, she explained that Su Yunqian quietly got on the yacht when the time came and didn't contact Bailey Han beforehand. This would make his surprise feel more accomplished. Su Yunqian agreed and decisively adopted her assistant's suggestion. This caused him to be completely confused when Su Yunqian got on the yacht and realized that Bailey Han hadn't appeared after a long time. She called him to confirm. But he still replied, Yunqian, stay on the yacht and wait for me. I'll be there soon. Bailey Han rushed to the yacht Dream and called Xiao Yi to tell him that he had no choice but to return late. Xiao Yi was very disappointed, but he didn't complain at all. Gigai just said to him, be careful on the road. Bailey Han was also very helpless. He just wanted to deepen his relationship with his son, but this kind of thing happened. However, the whole thing was very strange. He couldn't let Yunqian stay on the yacht alone. He was afraid that she would be in danger. He had to find out who was behind this. Dream was anchored in the shallow water bay. The yacht was brightly lit and radiant. Everything on Dream seemed more luxurious and beautiful against the calm waves and the night view of the cities on both sides of the river. Elegant violin music flowed slowly under the night sky. The aroma of red wine floated in the air. Dazzling beauties and gentlemen danced on the deck to the music. Su Yunqian was wearing a white low-cut evening gown that reached her ankles. Her beautiful black hair was combed into an elegant bun with a diamond-inlaid hairpin, revealing a large area of white and delicate skin on her back. She sat elegantly at the table next to the railing. Even in the corner, her noble temperament was still dazzling. Xia Dong, on the other hand, was sitting right across from her. She smiled elegantly. Miss Xia, I didn't expect that we would meet again under such circumstances. Xia Dong returned the same smile. I didn't expect it either. I have to thank Mr. Bailey and Miss Su for attending this banquet. Su Yunqian's smile didn't change, but a trace of coldness flashed through her charming eyes. What did Han mean? Why did he bring her to Xiaodong's banquet? At this moment, Su Yunqian still didn't know that she and Bailey Han were both victims. Su Yunqian picked up the wine glass with her slender fingers and took a sip. Why did you come back? For my family. I want to be by their side. Xiaodong knew that she had asked this question, which meant that she already knew her identity. There was no need for her to hide it any longer. Why did you come to disturb my life with Han? Her smile had turned cold. Do you know how long it took Han to get out of the shadows of the past? Everything has been ruined the moment you came back. Xiaodong tried to maintain her composure. I'm sorry. Really, but I really have some difficulties. She combed her hair elegantly like a princess. Her eyes were filled with contempt. Actually, I can understand the mentality of a lowly person like you. You have nothing but a bit of beauty. You dream of marrying into a rich family with your beauty and children, and live the life of a rich wife. Xiaodong couldn't believe that these words came out of her mouth. Whether it was in the media or in her daily life, she always looked like an elegant and noble princess. But you've chosen the wrong target. She smiled coldly, and her beautiful face was even colder. Han is favored by God. He will never marry a woman like you who has no status and no status. Other than bringing him scandals, what else can you do for him? Xiaodong took a deep breath, adjusted her expression and said seriously, Miss Su, I think you've got it wrong. I don't plan to marry him, and I don't plan to marry him in the future. Ad. Hongcha 866. Chapter 49. Then why do you always appear by his side? Don't you want to attract his attention? She wasn't a 3-year-old child and didn't believe her at all. That's because I have my difficulties. What difficulties? It was really difficult to talk about borrowing seeds, especially in front of someone who looked down on you. It was even more difficult. However, she was his fiancée. If she could agree and help him persuade Bailey Han, wouldn't things take a turn for the better? Although she knew that it was an extravagant hope, Xiaodong didn't care so much. She slowly said, My daughter has a very serious illness and needs a cord blood transplant. So, I want to ask Mr. Bailey to donate sperm to me. After I give birth to the child, I'll use the child's cord blood to save my daughter. Clap, clap. Su Yunqian clapped her hands. Miss Xia, I really admire you. How did you come up with such a lame excuse? I think you want to use Han's sperm as an excuse to get pregnant with his child and then marry into a rich family. Xiaodong shook her head and wanted to explain, but a cold and emotionless voice interrupted her. So this is your purpose, Miss Xia. You're so scheming. Tonight's good show was also set up by you for me, right? No, it's not like that. Please believe me. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't have come back to disturb you. You don't have to say any more. I won't believe a word you say. Bailey Han considerately put his arm around Su Yunqian's slender waist and looked at her gently. Yunqian, if you still want to stay here, I can accompany you. Su Yunqian looked at him and smiled gently. There's no need. I prefer to spend our time alone. He returned a gentle smile. They only had eyes for each other and didn't look at Xiaodong again. They walked leisurely towards the stairs. Bailey Yun and Xiao Tiansheng came back from dancing with their female partners. When they saw that they were about to leave, Bailey Yun smiled and said, Brother, since you're already here, why don't you stay for a while before you leave? How about dancing with my future sister-in-law? The term sister-in-law made Su Yunqian's smile brighten and she snuggled closer to Bailey Han. Bailey Han naturally felt her intimacy and very cooperatively held her tighter. He replied faintly, No, your sister-in-law isn't used to this place. We'll leave first. Sir, madam, this is the fruit wine we've specially prepared for our distinguished guests tonight. The alcohol content is very low and suitable for ladies and guests who can't hold their liquor. Would you like a glass? A handsome waiter appeared beside them with a tray. Xiao Tiansheng glanced at the tray. The transparent crystal glasses were filled with pale yellow liquid and a pale red cherry blossom bloomed on the rim of the glass. It looked beautiful and delicious. He casually picked up a glass and said with a smile, Since you're here, let's have a drink before we leave. We haven't had a drink together for a long time. Yes, brother. Anyway, you have a driver to pick you up. You don't have to worry about getting drunk. Bailey Yun also picked up a glass. Bailey Han glanced at Su Yunqian and asked for her opinion. When he saw her nod with a smile, he picked up 2 glasses and handed one to her. The 4 glasses clinked together and made a crisp sound. Looking at the pale yellow liquid flowing down the throats of the 4 people, a small figure hiding in the dark covered his mouth and laughed silently. Young Master Bao, the matter you ordered has been done. The handsome waiter came to the place where the small figure was hiding and bowed respectfully. Yes, you did well. Don't worry, I will tell Uncle Shen that you did very well. The figure hiding in the dark walked to the light. His handsome face was serious and his hands were behind his back. Keep an eye on them. When they faint, carry Bailey Yun, Xiao Tiansheng, and that woman off the yacht. As for Bailey Han, get him to the room that has been prepared. Yes, young Master Bao. The waiter bowed again and did as Xia Xiaobao instructed. His purpose of coming to China was to protect Miss and her children. He would carry out their orders without hesitation. The drugs in the wine were strong sleeping pills. After drinking the wine, Bailey Han and the other 3 people felt dizzy after taking 2 steps. They quickly sat down with the help of chairs. Xiao Tiansheng muttered, "Why do I feel dizzy? Am I drunk?" Bailey Yun also saw many shadows in front of him. He seemed to see Xia Dong walking in his direction. He shook his head and wanted to see more carefully, but his head became even dizzier. Plop! He fell on the table. Han, I feel dizzy. Su Yunqian leaned on Bailey Han's shoulder softly and gradually lost consciousness. Yunqian. Bailey Han tried his best to stay awake and shook the person in his arms. He was sharp enough to sense that something was wrong. In the end, his cold gaze landed on the wine glass. Could it be that there was something wrong with the wine? What's wrong with you? Xia Dong had just exchanged a few words with the other guests and walked around casually. She found Bailey Han and the other 3 sitting around a table. They didn't seem to be in good spirits. When she got closer, other than Bailey Han, the other 3 were already lying on their stomachs motionless. Bailey Han resisted the strong sleepiness and cast his cold eyes on Xia Dong. What did you put in the wine? His voice sounded weak. Wine? What's the matter? Why is there something in the wine? Xia Dong was confused. She picked up the wine glass on the table and checked it. You don't pretend. Bailey Han fell on the table with a plop. Hey, what's wrong with you? Hey. Xia Dong hurriedly pushed him, but he didn't respond at all. God, was he dead? She hurriedly put her finger under his nose. It was warm. Thank goodness, thank goodness. She put her finger to the noses of the other 3 people. They were still breathing. She was scared to death. Fortunately, this place was near the exit and there were fewer people. No one noticed it. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if there was a panic. But what was wrong with them? A handsome waiter suddenly appeared and bowed respectfully. Miss, Master Bao is looking for you. He's in room 101. Please go there. But they're just drunk. Miss, don't worry. I'll send them to their respective cars. Oh. Xia Dong blinked. She still felt that something was wrong. She pointed to the empty wine glass. The wine. That's a cocktail with a high alcohol content. Miss, Master Bao is waiting for you. Oh, okay. Jiang Dao, thank you for your hard work. Xia Dong was very satisfied with the man sent by Mika Kito to protect her. After Xia Dong left, Jiang Dao waved his hand and several men dressed as waiters gathered around him. Send these people off the boat. As for him, send him to room 102. The men bent down and each of them carried a person and left. When Xia Dong walked to room 101, her precious son was telling her precious daughter a fairy tale. The 2 little guys were lying on their stomachs, their little feet bouncing up and down. Her daughter giggled from time to time. Her heart was filled with tenderness. She quietly closed the door and walked behind the 2 little Bao. She hugged one in each hand and tickled their waist. She deliberately asked in a hoarse voice, "Guess who I am?" "Ah, Grandmother Wolf." Her daughter smiled and jumped into her arms. "Awoo, Grandmother Wolf wants to eat delicious little guai." She deliberately stuck out her tongue to scare her. Brother, save me. Grandmother Wolf is so scary. Gigai, don't be afraid. Brother will protect you. The three of them laughed together and the whole room was filled with a warm atmosphere. The children were tired from playing and leaned into her arms. She pinched Xiao Bao's soft cheeks. Xiao Bao, Jiang Dao said you were looking for me. What's the matter? Xiao Bao looked up at her, his bright eyes flashing with a sly light. Mom, I want to give you a present. You can go to room 102 to accept it now. What's the matter? Why are you being so mysterious? You'll know when you get there. Xiao Bao pushed her. Go quickly. Gi Gai and I are going to sleep. Okay. Good night, Mommy. Xiao Guai kissed her cheek. What were these two children up to? Why were they being so mysterious? Xia Dong muttered as she opened the door to room 102. Click. She turned on the light. The room was beautifully decorated. It was warm and elegant. There was a huge bed with a soft mattress and a layer of rose petals. The incense lamp at the bedside gave off a mesmerizing fragrance. But that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that there was a man lying on the bed. The most important thing was that this man was Bailey Han, and he was Bailey Han in a bathrobe. Xia Dong froze on the spot. At this moment, two choices appeared in her mind. 1. Eat the drunk Bailey Han. 2. Let him go and run away. Should she choose 1 or 2? Because of excitement and nervousness, she clenched her fists tightly. 1 or 2? Oh no. Wait. Why was Bailey Han here? Didn't Jiang Dao say that he would send him off the boat? Xia Dong, who was in a dilemma, suddenly remembered that she had another choice. She had to figure out what was going on. But damn it, the door was locked from the outside. She couldn't open it at all. Xia Xiaobao, is this your doing? Xia Dong shouted angrily as she kicked the door. That's right. Your progress is too slow. I can't stand it anymore. Mom, I support you to jump on him. Xia Xiaobao was wearing Garfield pajamas and cute bunny ear slippers. He crossed his arms coolly as he spoke to his flustered and exasperated mother through the door. Xia Dong wanted to explode. Why did she have to have such a genius son? But he was already engaged. If they had sex again, wouldn't it cause him to have an affair? This was also the reason why she had been trying to persuade him to donate his sperm. As if he knew what she was thinking, Xia Xiaobao's arrogant voice sounded again. Mom, don't be so naive to think that he will donate his sperm to you. I heard your conversation just now. He doesn't believe you at all. Also, that woman called Su Yunqian is also very annoying. That annoying woman dared to slander his mother. She was too hateful. He wanted to help his mother seduce Bailey Han and teach her a lesson. Yes, Xiao Bao was right. Bailey Han didn't believe her at all. Could she really convince him? How long would it take to convince him? Could Xiao Guai wait until then? Xiao Bao's voice continued to tempt her. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Mom, Bailey Han has already noticed that there's something wrong with the wine. If you don't do it now, you won't have another chance when he wakes up. With his personality, when he wakes up tomorrow, he will definitely take revenge. In the future, don't even talk about convincing him to donate his sperm. Even if you get within 3 miles of him, he will send you flying. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 50. Mom, don't blame your son for not reminding you. Although the strong sleeping pills are powerful, they can only last for an hour. You only have an hour to consider. Oh right, let me remind you again. Half an hour has passed. Xia Dong sighed. All right, you don't have to say any more. Go back to your room and sleep. There was no more sound outside the door. It seemed that her son had returned to his room. She looked at her watch. Just as she was hesitating, another 10 minutes had passed. She walked to the bed step by step. Under the warm light, his facial features were gentler than usual. His facial features were really good-looking. He had deep eye sockets, a high nose bridge, and sexy thin lips. He looked so attractive. But at this moment, she didn't feel any pleasure from admiring his beauty. She was in pain. Tears gathered in her eyes. Her hand fell on his face, and she rubbed it gently. I'm sorry, I have no choice. In order to save our daughter, let me do it again. She gently undid the belt of his bathrobe, and his strong body entered her line of sight. Memories from 5 years ago suddenly surfaced in her mind, and her face instantly turned red. Although she had even given birth to a child, the heavens could testify that she only had that one experience. She had only seen a man's naked body before. Other than Xiaobao's. Don't worry, I'll be very gentle. She was so embarrassed that she didn't dare to look directly at him. She simply closed her eyes and repeated the experience from 5 years ago. His lips had a faint scent of wine. It was a little hot and a little soft. She kissed him attentively. Her gentleness was like a feather sweeping across his brow and stopping on his forehead. She was nervous and careful as if she was kissing a precious treasure. A hazy feeling came up, and she instinctively grabbed the part of him that was screaming for her attention. With just a gentle movement, the person in his sleep seemed to have sensed something. He couldn't help but straighten his beautiful neck and moan as if he was dying. His expression of pain and comfort intertwined chaotically. Yun Qian. His voice was hoarse and full of lust. It gave her a shock, and she thought that he had woken up. Fortunately, the person below her only cried out once and didn't make another sound. She relaxed again and continued what she was doing. That part of his body became even hotter and harder in her hands. Feeling the pulsating pulse and the eruption of his body, Xiaodong's mind suddenly went blank, and his body suddenly stiffened. She suddenly felt a sense of fear. She did not dare to continue. Just as she was about to retreat, he suddenly turned over and flipped her over onto the bed. He couldn't wait to kiss her. He couldn't wait to caress her soft body. His fingers kneaded vigorously. Her full lips moved, making him unable to resist tasting them carefully. Her small tongue that escaped in a panic was also so cute. Her heartbeat almost rushed out of her chest, and she was almost lost in this deeper and deeper kiss. His fiery heat pressed against her mysterious fragrant garden, and his attack was imminent. Hiss! The pain made him suddenly wake up. He jerked his body away and covered his bleeding lips. His eyes, which had just regained consciousness, flashed with a brief moment of confusion. Suddenly, it turned into a cold and gloomy light that tightly locked onto the little woman below him. Woman, I've finally caught you. This is your goal, HM? His gaze was so scary, as if it was going to tear her apart. His voice was as gloomy and dangerous as if it came from hell. His palms pinched her slender neck, and he gradually increased his strength. It was as if he used any more strength, it would break with a crack. His eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light, and he said word by word, "Tell me, how should I punish you?" It was so uncomfortable. She couldn't make a sound, and the air in her throat disappeared bit by bit. She was like a drowning fish, opening her mouth and breathing hard. Her eyes overflowed with tears because of the discomfort, and she blinked her eyes pleadingly. He loosened his grip a little. "What else do you want to say?" Cough, cough. "Please don't kill me." Her eyelashes were filled with tears, and she looked pitiful. However, he wasn't a philanthropist. He didn't want to keep a woman like this who had such evil intentions and would cause more trouble. He increased the strength in his hands again, and she used her hands to grope around the bed. Ah! She let out a painful scream. At the same time, her hand grabbed a pillow. She used all her strength and threw the pillow at his head. He was caught off guard, and reflexively used his right arm to block it. His other arm was still firmly pressing her down on the bed. She finally sucked in some fresh air, and as she sucked in hard, she raised her right foot and kicked his head. She had learned some martial arts from Mika Kito and her foster father, and now it came in handy. Good skills. Bailey Han grabbed the pillow and threw it aside. He nimbly jumped off the bed and dodged her heavy blow. His thumb slowly touched his injured lips, and his eyes were cold. "If you tell me who ordered you to do this, I might consider letting you go." This woman's skills were swift and deadly. He no longer believed that she simply wanted to seduce him. Perhaps, she was a spy sent by his opponent. Xiaodong's brain worked quickly, and she quickly came up with an idea. "If I tell you who is behind this, will you really let me go?" "Of course, I, Bailey Han, am a man of my word." He looked proud. He didn't need to play dirty with her. Even if she was lucky enough to escape this time, she wouldn't be able to escape City A. Her serious expression suddenly turned sad, and there were even tears in her eyes. "You're right. They kidnapped my family and threatened me to get close to you. If I didn't complete the mission, they would kill my family. Who are they? The Dark Knight. The godfather of the Italian mafia, Tomac, founded the largest arms organization in the world. Bailey Han raised his eyebrows and sneered. If you want to frame someone, you have to find a suitable target. Do you think the Dark Knight will send an idiot like you to be a spy? Xiaodong's face darkened. The next moment, a warm body pressed against her. Bailey Han's low voice sounded like a demon in her ear. I knew you wouldn't be honest. Xiaodong gritted her teeth and suddenly turned around to hug him. If I said that what I said to Miss Su on the deck was not a lie, and that I approached you to save my daughter, would you believe me? The moment she hugged him, his body stiffened. He hated it when others touched him, but at that moment, his body didn't hate her. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child who will believe your nonsense? He grabbed her arm and tried to push her away. She hugged him tightly as if she had gone crazy. Don't. Bailey Han. I beg you, don't be angry anymore. Don't play the, I don't know you game with me. Help me. Help me for the last time, okay? Her soft breasts pressed against his chest, and the beautiful touch made him feel like he had been electrocuted. He gritted his teeth and suppressed the restlessness in his body. There was great displeasure in his voice. I don't have time to play games with you, and I don't have time to accompany you in this boring conversation. His hand fell on her throat again. She turned around to dodge, but he didn't stop attacking. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 10 moves. With her current skills, it was no problem for her to deal with an ordinary opponent, but she was facing the powerful Bailey Han, and soon she was at a disadvantage. Bailey Han, you can kill me, but do you want your son to bear the title of the son of a murderer? Xiaodong couldn't bear it anymore and shouted. Humph! You've done your homework. You even know that I have a son. In order to protect his son's safety, he had never announced his relationship with Xiao Yi to the public. As the future head of the Bailey family, he must accept the dark reality. You're crazy. You're not qualified to be a father at all. Her face turned pale. I regret it so much. Back then. Back then what? He pinched her chin. Why don't you continue talking? No, she couldn't say it. She couldn't open up the scars again. She gritted her teeth and glared at him. It's none of your business. Very well, I don't want to continue talking to you. He had lost all his patience. His slender fingers caressed her fragile bones. Her delicate skin was like fine silk, and he actually felt a little regretful. Xiaodong was helpless. She told him the truth, but he didn't believe her. She begged him, but he still didn't want to remember her. She still wanted to save her daughter. She didn't want to die by his hands. She made up her mind. As he exerted force, she tiptoed and kissed his lips. She nibbled on his lips like a mad woman, her hands moving up and down his body without any rhyme or reason. She felt the hand on her throat slowly slide down to her back, even subconsciously caressing it. She bit his earlobe and whispered like a lover, Bailey Han, I love you. This is my purpose for getting close to you. His Adam's apple moved uncontrollably. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something. She kissed him fiercely and blocked his words. The smell of incense in the air became stronger. The two of them hugged each other. Their body temperature rose, and there was an unknown throbbing in their hearts. Bailey Han was frustrated. He actually felt something when this woman forced a kiss on him. The burning part of him was awakened again. His heart was filled with emptiness. He had an impulse to fiercely press down on this woman in front of him. Xiaodong also felt that emptiness. She wanted to scold him. She had only forced a kiss on him. Why did he feel so impatient? They didn't know that the problem lay in the incense lamp at the bedside. Xia Xiaobao had put in the incense lamp. This kind of herb had an aphrodisiac effect, but it needed to be smelled for more than an hour to take effect. Now, the incense was beginning to show its effect. We can't continue like this. Bailey Han pushed away the woman who was hanging on him like a koala bear. His hoarse voice was filled with lust. At this time, both of their clothes had been taken off and thrown messily on the ground. Their bodies were also bruised and disheveled. He awkwardly pulled a thin blanket to cover his lower body. He tried to calm down. His body was very uncomfortable, and he urgently needed relief. He no longer had the mood to care about Xiaodong. He rushed into the bathroom and took a cold shower. Xiaodong didn't expect that she would have such strong lust. Her whole body felt like it was on fire. She was ashamed and uncomfortable. She trembled as she picked up her clothes and put them on one by one. Listening to the sound of water in the bathroom, his strong body uncontrollably appeared in her mind. God, this is too embarrassing. She hugged her head and buried herself in the blanket. She curled up into a ball and trembled because of the discomfort. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 51. Bailey Han showered for half an hour. It was still very uncomfortable, but he was barely able to control it. When he returned to the bedroom, Xiaodong's face was already red from the fever. Her delicate eyebrows were tightly knitted together, and she bit her lips with her pearly white teeth, trying her best not to moan. He didn't know when the thought of getting rid of her had disappeared from his heart. Seeing how uncomfortable she was at this moment, his brows furrowed. He suddenly bent down and carried her in his arms, taking large strides towards the bathroom. It was clearly her fault. Why did he still want to save her? He was simply crazy. Bailey Han was filled with anger and complicated emotions. He roughly threw her into the bathtub, picked up the shower head, and fiercely washed her body. Sob sob, it's so uncomfortable. She uneasily twisted in the bathtub. Her clothes were drenched and wrapped around her body, revealing her beautiful curves. He forced himself to look away, but damn it, she actually grabbed his leg. Her frighteningly hot face rubbed against his exposed calf, and she even restlessly rubbed against it. Woman, you better behave. He forcefully pulled her away, and his eyes were almost bursting with sparks. Save me! Save me! She suddenly pounced forward and hugged his neck. Her misty eyes were unfocused and filled with tears, looking incomparably seductive. The fire that was forcefully suppressed in his body flared up again. He took a deep breath. You asked for it. He suddenly raised his hand and hit the back of her head. She moaned and softly fell into his arms. The dazzling sunlight shone in through the window. Xiaodong painfully furrowed her brows, turned over, and suddenly sat up. Her head hurt, and her body was very hot. She seemed to have a fever. She opened her eyes wide and looked around. This was still the room on the yacht. The memories slowly replayed. Scary. Exciting. In the end, she cried out and hugged her head. God, I actually did such a thing. I don't have the face to live anymore. I agree with your point of view. Every breath you exhale is polluting this beautiful world. A cold voice came from the side. Her body stiffened, and then she slowly turned around and squeezed out an ugly smile. Good morning. Bailey Han slowly got up and elegantly tidied his clothes. If you've rested enough, please tell me why we're in this situation now. With that, he suddenly opened the curtains, and even more dazzling sunlight shone in. Xiaodong uncomfortably closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, the mouth opened in disbelief. Xiaodong couldn't believe her eyes. She jumped off the bed barefooted and excitedly ran to the window. She wasn't mistaken. In front of her was a beach. On the beach, there was a lot of rotten wood washed by the tide. There were also many animal corpses, including eerie white bones. She rubbed her eyes hard and opened them again. The scene in front of her didn't change at all. To be. To be Robinson Crusoe. She turned and ran to the door, but the door was still locked. No matter how hard she shook the door, she could only hear the clanking of the big iron lock, and there was no sign of it being opened. I advise you not to waste your energy. This door is made of steel. You won't be able to open it. Bailey Han sat on the sofa, coldly watching her jump up and down to look for something to smash the door with. She ignored him, threw away the stool in her hand, and returned to the window. This time, she could see more clearly. It seemed that the yacht was docked at the edge of a deserted island. Behind the beach was a dense forest, and there might even be ferocious beasts. She anxiously took out her phone and dialed her son's number. She wanted to make sure that the two children were fine, but the phone only rang twice. Damn it, there was no signal. She grabbed her hair in frustration. What kind of place was this? There wasn't even a phone signal. She suddenly turned and looked at Bailey Han, who was unbelievably calm. "Why are you so calm? Is this your doing?" Bailey Han's mouth twitched. "Don't compare my psychological endurance with yours. I'll feel that it's an insult to me. It's true that you're stupid. I was brought to this room by you, and I've been here all this time. May I ask, how can I do anything? You can get your subordinates to do something. Maybe you want to get me to this deserted island to kill me and destroy the evidence. If I kill you, I don't have to worry about destroying the evidence. Don't put me on the same level as you." Xiaodong decided to ignore him and find a way out. She had to get out quickly to ensure the safety of the children. She pushed open the glass window and looked at the dark sea below. It was a little high, and she didn't know how to swim. If she jumped down, she would definitely drown. She turned to look at him. "Bailey Han, do you know how to swim?" He looked at her as if she was an idiot. "After you jump into the water, how do you plan to get to the deck?" "We can use a rope or a bed sheet," he mocked her mercilessly. "Congratulations. There's no rope in this room. As for the bed sheet, I think you've watched too many movies." Before she woke up, he had already checked carefully. There was no rope in this room at all. "But we can't just sit here and wait for death. We have to think of a way." Xiaodong clenched her fists, her face full of determination. Seeing her rummaging around the room, his cold eyes moved slightly. "Cuckoo! Cuckoo!" A white thing flew in from the window. "It's a pigeon." Xiaodong ran to the window excitedly. The pigeon stopped on the table. She carefully caught it in her hand, but it did not run away. Instead, it used its mouth to rub against the back of her hand. She tentatively touched its leg. There was a small tube tied to it. She opened the tube and poured the contents into her palm. It was a key, and there was also a small white slip of paper. There was only a simple sentence on the note. "Mom, don't say that your son didn't help you. Seize the opportunity. Xiao Guai and I are safe. We're waiting for your triumphant return." Her face instantly darkened. She crumpled the note into pieces. She was roaring in her heart. "Xia Xiaobao, just you wait. How dare you trick your mom like this? When I get back, I'll definitely teach you a lesson." The key was used to open the door. Bailey Han broke the glass of the window next to the door and tied his arm with a piece of cloth so that he wouldn't be stabbed by the broken glass. He easily opened the heavy iron lock. Clang! The metal chain was thrown to the ground. Xiaodong wanted to rush out, but he stopped her. "What's with the key?" She looked innocent. "I don't know either." "Who gave you the note?" he asked aggressively. "Who's the mastermind behind this?" "I don't know. There was no name on the note. It only said that the key was used to open the door. I'm also a victim. I don't have to lie to you." She looked sincere. If he believed her, he would really be crazy. She said again, "The most important thing now is to leave this place. We have to stay together. We can't have internal strife." He glanced at her coldly. "I'll go to the steering room. You see if there's anyone else on the boat." There was no one in the steering room. The fuel gauge showed that all the fuel had been used up, which meant that they couldn't start the yacht. He went to the kitchen and the infirmary. There was still food and fruit in the kitchen, and some conventional medicine in the infirmary. The situation wasn't too bad. "All the rooms are empty. There's only the two of us on the boat." Xiaodong looked around. She was a little out of breath. She didn't look too good, and her forehead was covered in cold sweat. "The fuel has been used up. We can't leave. Fortunately, there's still food and medicine. I found that the lifeboat is gone too. They probably did it to prevent us from escaping. We have to think of a way to leave as soon as possible." Xiaodong felt very tired. She sat on the chair and held her cheek with one hand. "I'm sorry. I feel a little uncomfortable. I'll rest for a while." Bailey Han had already noticed that her face was abnormally red. He bent over and touched her forehead. His hand was covered in sweat. He frowned. "You're running a fever. You probably caught a cold." She let out an uncomfortable ugh. His frown deepened. He ordered coldly, "Lie on the bed." "No need. I'll just sit down for a while." "Don't make me say it a second time." Xiaodong looked up weakly. His expression was really ugly. All right, she didn't want to make him angry. She got up and walked towards the big bed. After a few steps, she felt dizzy and fell towards the floor. She thought that she would hit her head and bleed, but the pain she imagined didn't happen. She was held by a pair of strong arms around her waist. She heard a deep voice. Idiot! The next moment, she felt her body being lifted. She was picked up by Bailey Han and thrown onto the bed. He really threw her. She frowned uncomfortably. Lie down properly. I'll go find some cold medicine. The sound of his footsteps gradually faded away, and her heavy eyelids closed. In a daze, someone held the back of her head and fed her a few pills. It was so bitter. She wanted to spit it out, but her mouth was roughly pinched. If you don't want to spontaneously combust, swallow the pills for me, Gigai. Damn it. Her body temperature was already so high, but she was still so dishonest. It was so bitter. She frowned and swallowed the pills. Warm water flowed into her mouth. She drank a few mouthfuls greedily and accidentally choked. That person gently pulled her ear and muttered, "You're already so old but you still choke on water. You're so stupid." A dazed smile appeared on her face. When she was young, her mother would pull her ear and complain that she was too impatient when she choked on food. She carefully put herself into that person's arms and murmured, "Mom." Her soft body lay in his arms. His hand that was holding the glass of water froze. But in the next moment, he heard her voice and his face immediately darkened. How was he emitting a motherly glow? How could he let her call him Mom? Massaging his throbbing temples, he put the glass of water on the bedside and pulled the blanket over her. He wanted to pull his body out of her. She sensed his movements and hugged him tightly. "Mom, don't go." Perhaps it was the expression on her face that was too painful, or perhaps it was the fear in her voice that made him unable to bear it. He actually stopped moving. Gigai sat on the spot and let her use him as a big bolster. Bailey's old residence. "What do you mean you can't contact Ahan? What are all of you doing?" The old madam used her walking stick to poke the floor fiercely and scolded the servants and bodyguards in the hall who were bent over. Awesome novel. Hongcha 866. Chapter 52. Mom, don't worry. The police and the Dragon Gang have already sent people to search everywhere. I think there will be news soon. Bailey Xiong comforted the old lady. The Dragon Gang was the secret dark force of the Bailey family, and would not be easily mobilized. This time, they had sent half of their people, which showed the importance of this matter. Don't worry. How can I not worry? Ahan has been missing for 14 hours now. I can't get through to his phone, and no one knows where he went. If he was kidnapped, the kidnappers would have contacted us. No news is the scariest. The old lady's eyes turned red as she spoke. Mom, calm down. Have a cup of ginseng tea. You haven't eaten anything all day. Bai Jinxiu took the ginseng tea from the servant and handed it to her with both hands. No, I can't eat anything right now. The old lady waved her hand and sighed. A small figure walked down the stairs and stood on tiptoe to pick up the ginseng tea, carefully stirring it. Great-grandma, you should eat something. Otherwise, when Daddy comes back and sees that you can't eat because of worry, he will be sad. The old lady touched Bailey Yi's head. Our Xiao Yi has grown up and is sensible. It's just that Grandma has no appetite and can't eat. Great-grandma, if you don't eat, Xiao Yi won't eat today either. Bai Jinxiu quickly struck while the iron was hot and brought the ginseng soup to the old lady. Mom, since Xiao Yi said so, you should eat something. Okay, I'll eat. Xiao Yi also wants to eat in Gigai. Don't let your daddy come back. If he sees that you have become thinner, he will blame me. The old lady sighed as she drank the ginseng soup. A servant hurriedly ran in. Old madam, Miss Su is here. Let her in. The old lady looked at Su Yunqian and asked anxiously, Yunqian, you're finally here. Ahan is missing. Did he contact you last night? When Su Yunqian woke up in the morning, she was already at home. She only remembered that she drank a glass of wine on the yacht and got drunk. She couldn't remember anything else. She rushed over after receiving Bai Jinxiu's call. She didn't expect that the first thing she heard was that Bailey Han was missing. She quickly calmed down and said slowly, "Grandma, Ahan and I received an invitation to a party last night." "Party? Whose invitation? Where is it held?" Her charming eyes flashed with coldness. "It's Miss Xiaodong, the editor-in-chief of Glamour magazine. She invited us to a party on the Dream Yacht." "Xiaodong?" The old madam's body stiffened, and her expression suddenly changed. Her trembling hand knocked over the cup of ginseng soup. With a crash, the ginseng soup spilled on the table and stained her hand. "Mom, is your hand okay?" Bailey Xiong hurriedly checked her hand. Bai Jinxiu hurriedly asked the servant to bring some ointment for burns. No, I'm fine." The old madam took out a handkerchief to wipe the back of her hand. She waved her hand and asked the nanny to take Bailey Yi away. "Xiao Yi, go upstairs and play for a while." Bailey Yi followed the nanny upstairs and secretly remembered the name, Xia Dong, in his heart. When Su Yunqian said this name just now, everyone's expression changed, especially the great-grandmother, who looked terrible. After making sure that her little great-grandson was far away, the old madam said, "Yunqian, the Xia Dong you mentioned just now, is it that woman?" Su Yunqian nodded. "I've already confirmed it. It's her." The old madam angrily stomped the floor with her cane. "Why did she come back? Hasn't she hurt Ahan enough?" Su Yunqian calmly lowered her eyes to hide the resentment in her eyes. She said softly, "Recently, she's always looking for opportunities to appear by Ahan's side. I think she's regretting it." "Regretting it? It's not up to her to regret it now." The old madam angrily slammed the table. "As long as I'm alive, she can forget about entering Bailey's house." Bai Jinxiu's expression eased a little. "Yunqian, tell me, what happened last night? Why didn't Ahan come back with you?" Su Yunqian showed a serious expression. "I remember that last night, Yun, Tianxing, Ahan, and I, the four of us, drank a glass of wine, and then we got drunk. When I finally woke up, I was already in my room. I asked the servant, and the servant said that the driver sent me home." "What did the driver say?" "The driver said that the waiter on the yacht helped me into the car." A guilty and sad expression appeared on her beautiful face. "I thought that Ahan was sent home like me, so I didn't ask." "It's not your fault." The old madam comforted her. She called the servant and said, "Go and contact Yun and Tianxing. Ask them to come to the old mansion to see me." In less than half an hour, Bailey Yun and Xiao Tianxing arrived one after another. The two of them were shocked when they heard that Bailey Han was missing. They recalled what happened last night, and it was exactly as Su Yunqian said. They all woke up in their own rooms, and it was the chauffeur who sent them home. Xiao Tianxing frowned and analyzed. "Now that I think about it, our alcohol tolerance shouldn't be so bad. Someone must have put something in the wine." Su Yunqian looked sad. "Why were we all sent back, but only Ahan is missing? Where was he taken? Is he in danger? I regret it so much. I shouldn't have let him drink that glass of wine last night." Bailey Xiong calmly analyzed. "The yacht is Xiaodong's, and the party was held by Xiaodong. Could it be that she also drugged us? Then what's her purpose?" Bailey Yun's back began to sweat. A bold idea came to his mind, but he quickly rejected it. He didn't believe that Xiaodong would drug the four of them, and he didn't believe that she would kidnap Bailey Han. Bai Jinxiu looked at him mockingly and said meaningfully, "It's very simple. She regretted it. She wanted to lure Ahan into committing a crime and take the opportunity to enter our family again." "No, she's not that kind of person," Bailey Yun almost subconsciously retorted. "If that's not the case, then how do you explain Ahan's disappearance? The reason for Big Brother's disappearance hasn't been found yet. You shouldn't jump to conclusions like this. Lowly people like her will only use despicable methods. This is obvious. Why do you still need to make conclusions?" Bai Jinxiu's tone was full of sarcasm. "Auntie, you're biased." The veins on Bailey Yun's forehead began to throb. He wouldn't allow others to criticize Xiaodong in such a contemptuous tone. He wanted to say something else, but he was interrupted by the old madam's stern shout. "All right, let's not quarrel anymore. The most important thing now is to find Ahan." The old madam's sharp eyes swept over Bailey Yun and finally fell on Bailey Xiong. Xiong, You inform the brothers in the police station about the news we got. In addition, order a Bang's men to rush to the bay where the banquet was held last night to search. In addition, find out Xiaodong's whereabouts. Got it, Mom. I'll go now. Her gaze fell on them. As for you, keep the news of Ahan's disappearance a secret. I'm worried that someone will use this news to attack the Bailey Group and Shenghao Group. Yun, you go to Ahan's company. Before he comes back, you're responsible for taking care of his affairs. Got it, Grandma. The old madam made a strict deployment and blocked the news of Bailey Han's disappearance. She also secretly communicated with the police station and the Dragon Gang to search for Bailey Han's whereabouts. At the same time, in Xiaodong's house, Xia Xiaobao and Xiao Guai, the two children, finished lunch under the care of the nanny and called Xia Yun again. Grand Aunt. I'm Xiao Bao. Mommy is temporarily out of town on a business trip and asked us to stay at your place for 2 days. Okay, Grand Aunt will come and pick you up. No need, Auntie Nanny will send us there. Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai changed into cute siblings' outfits, carried their own small school bags, put on their sunglasses, and went to Xia Yun's house under the escort of the nanny. Grand Aunt, this is the hot spring coupon that Mommy reserved for us. Let's go to the hot spring together, okay? Xia Yun loved these two children the most. How could she say no? Moreover, the coupons had already been reserved. Wouldn't it be a waste if they didn't go? So, she followed her husband and took the two children to the hot spring at Misty Villa. When the Dragon Gang arrived at Xia Yun's house, what awaited them was an empty room. Because Xiao Bao had already tricked Xia Yun and her husband into going to the hot spring. Xiao Bao had reserved the coupons through a public phone, and the ID card used was from Zhang Dao, so the Dragon Gang had no way of finding out where they had gone. At night, Xiao Bao lay comfortably on the comfortable bed in the hot spring hotel. He had just turned on his small computer and was about to start working when Xiao Guai came in with a big bear in her arms. Brother, I want to sleep with you. Give me your hand. Brother will carry you up. The hotel was very user-friendly. The children's bed was not very high, so Xiao Bao easily pulled his sister up. The two children squeezed under the quilt. Xiao Guai came to his small computer and asked, Brother, what are you looking at? Xiao Bao closed the computer and put it on the bedside table. He patted her head and said, Nothing, Gigai, are you sleepy? Brother will tell you a fairy tale. I'm not sleepy, brother. Where is Mommy? I miss her so much, Xiao Bao patted her head again and said, Mommy and Uncle are on a date, we can't disturb them. Otherwise, Mommy won't give us a little brother or sister. Oh, but I miss her so much. Xiao Guai pouted. She felt wronged. Then do you want a little brother or sister? Yes, then we can't disturb Mommy and Uncle. Okay, brother will tell Gigai a story, okay? Okay, Xiao Guai said softly. She rested her chin on her hands and looked at her brother without blinking. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. Her name was Snow White. Snore, snore, she finally fell asleep. Xiao Bao put his sister's white and soft arms under the quilt and jumped off the bed easily. He hugged his small computer and nestled on the sofa. The computer screen lit up. His small fingers tapped on the keyboard a few times, and a video call popped up. The person on the other side was the handsome waiter on the yacht, Zhang Dao. Young Master Bao, good evening. Yes, good evening. Xiao Bao nodded seriously. Zhang Dao, what's the situation on the yacht? I've already released a carrier pigeon. The door to room 102 has been opened. Bailey Han and Miss checked the situation on the yacht and then returned to room 102. What did they do today? I was too far away so I couldn't see clearly. They only went out for a while, then stayed in the room and didn't leave. Add Hongcha 866. Chapter 53. The young man's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that a man and a woman were in the same room, and sparks of love suddenly flew out? Actually, he was thinking too much. He tried hard to suppress his excitement and coughed. You did well. Be careful not to be discovered by them. Understood. Zhang Dao, I don't want a third person to know about this. You understand, especially Uncle Shen. If Uncle Shen knew that he had left his mother and Bailey Han on an isolated island, he would definitely fly over from Japan to spank him. I understand. After ending the video chat, Xiaobao rolled around on the sofa like a puppy, happily playing around. He was a genius. If he banished his mother and Bailey Han to an isolated island, they would definitely be aroused. Oh, ha ha ha, of course, he wouldn't be so stupid to leave them on an isolated island. He even asked Jiang Dao to lie in ambush on the island. If they encountered any danger, he could help them in time. Of course, Jiang Dao would also create some trouble for them. After rolling around happily, Xia Xiaobao and Gigai climbed onto the bed and started to sleep. He had no idea that his cute mother was in deep trouble. Xia Dong felt hot all over. Her throat was swollen and painful, and she was thirsty. Her voice was hoarse as she called out, "Water!" In a daze, a strong hand supported the back of her head, and warm liquid slowly flowed into her mouth. After drinking the water, she fell asleep again. She didn't know how long she slept, but when she regained consciousness, it was already evening. Her whole body was wet as if she had been fished out of the water. She moved her body uncomfortably and wanted to get up, but a pair of arms firmly restrained her movements. Only then did she realize that she was actually lying in Bailey Han's arms. She looked up and saw the side of his face and chin. The soft light added some delicate lines to his side profile. As if he felt her struggle, he suddenly opened his eyes. Seeing that she had woken up, a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. "You're awake." He was pleasantly surprised as he touched her forehead. Only when he felt that her body temperature had returned to normal did he put his heart back into his chest. His actions were practiced and natural. She didn't say anything and just glared at him. Puzzled, he asked, "What's wrong? Why are we in the same bed? Do you need me to remind you that you're sick and have a fever?" Bailey Han let go of her and got out of bed. "I was kind enough to take care of you, but you blame me." Xia Dong shrunk her neck guiltily. "Fine, I'll take care of you. Why are you squeezing into the same bed as me? As the person who dragged me to bed and refused to let me go, you have no right to say that." Bailey Han's expression was not good. When had a proud son like him ever done something like taking care of a patient? He had stayed up all afternoon, but she did not appreciate it. Well, fine, she really didn't expect that she would be the one to drag him to the bed. She coughed and avoided his gaze, trying to change the topic. "I'm hungry." It would be strange if she wasn't hungry after sleeping for an entire afternoon. "There's food in the kitchen. I'll go prepare it." He put on his clothes elegantly. She was surprised. "You know how to cook?" His gaze was cold. "Do you have a problem with that?" No. Please feel free to cook. Don't hold back." He grunted in satisfaction and left the room. Xia Dong crawled out of the blanket and realized that she was still wearing the evening gown from last night. It was drenched in sweat and stuck to her body. She rummaged around and found 2 sets of men's and women's clothes in a cupboard at the head of the bed. There were even underwear. She was speechless and at the same time, she silently blamed her son in her heart. This little rascal, he had actually prepared everything. He must have planned to betray her long ago. She took a shower, changed into clean clothes, and changed the bedsheets. Bailey Han was still not back. Did he really know how to cook? Did he blow up the kitchen? Xia Dong was embarrassed by her own thoughts, but she couldn't deny the possibility. Wearing slippers and a cardigan, she walked down a long corridor and arrived at the kitchen. The lights in the kitchen were very bright. He was wearing a white apron, and his back was facing her as he stood in front of the reflective cupboard. His tall and straight back looked very calm and composed. He was stir-frying, and the smell of cooking oil spread. After a while, it became the aroma of the dishes. Xia Dong looked at the busy person in the kitchen and couldn't help but sigh. Handsome men were blessed by nature. Even his cooking movements were so perfect. After stir-frying the last dish, he elegantly took off his apron. She quickly went forward to help. "I'll prepare the bowls and chopsticks." Broccoli with minced garlic and carrots were the side dishes. The red and green colors were fresh and delicious. The sweet and sour cabbage was sour and appetizing. There was also a dish of stir-fried bitter gourd. The seafood porridge simmered on the gas stove emitted a faint fragrance. It was relatively light and suitable for patients. During the meal, Xia Dong felt touched. This was the first time a man had cooked for her. She slowly stirred the porridge in the bowl and smiled at Bailey Han. I didn't expect you to know how to cook. And it's so delicious. I was tired of Western food when I was studying in England, so I tried to cook by myself. Bailey Han replied faintly. I thought you didn't have to do these things yourself. Shouldn't a rich young master like him have groups of servants to serve him? According to the Bailey family's rules, boys will be sent abroad to study after they turn 18. The family will pay for their tuition, but they have to take care of themselves. This was the first time Bailey Han mentioned his past to someone else. Then you must have suffered a lot. There was no surprise or sympathy on her face, only seriousness. Bailey Han was stunned and opened his mouth. His heart felt like it was wrapped in a duvet, and there was a warm feeling. No one had ever said such words to him. They only saw him in all his glory and brilliance. Clearing his throat, Bailey Han calmed himself down and said arrogantly, These are all small things. How can they be difficult for me? She held back her laughter. Yes, young Master Bailey is omnipotent. The atmosphere between the two of them became harmonious. After the meal, Xiaodong volunteered to clean up the battlefield. Bailey Han stood at the door and looked at the busy woman. He actually thought, this kind of life is not bad. Realizing what he was thinking, Bailey Han's face darkened. He walked out of the cabin with a bit of depression and leaned against the railing to look at the night view of the sea. Let's go. We'll rest for a while and eat some fruit. Xia Dong brought over a large crystal fruit plate. Hearing her voice, Bailey Han's agitated heart gradually calmed down. He replied with a faint, and reached out to take the fruit plate for her. Then he led her to a room on the second floor. Xia Dong opened the door. It was dark inside. What is this? Click. The lights were turned on. It turned out to be a small home theater. No wonder the door felt unusually heavy when she pushed it open. It turned out that it was soundproof. As the owner, you are not as familiar with this yacht as I am. His voice had a hint of mockery. I can't help it. I won the yacht after all. I really don't know what's inside. She didn't mind being mocked by him at all. This only showed how good she was. Even he was defeated by her. She ran over excitedly and flipped through the DVDs inside. Finally, she found a comedy that she had never seen before. The two of them huddled on the sofa and watched the movie while eating fruit. Xia Dong was attracted by the funny plot and couldn't stop laughing throughout. Poor Bailey Han's ears were poisoned by her high-pitched laughter. He really couldn't understand what was so funny about those lousy plots. After watching the funny movie, it was still early. The two of them watched a horror movie. Xia Dong hugged a pillow and curled up on the sofa. The sound effects of the home theater were very good. The creepy sound lingered in the enclosed space and she had goosebumps all over her body. Suddenly, a hand came out of the darkness and patted her shoulder. Wah wah, she jumped up in fright and stammered. Hee hee, Bailey Han, there's a ghost. There's a ghost in your head. Bailey Han knocked her forehead with his big hand and said angrily, It's me. Your guts are smaller than the tip of a needle. You're actually watching a horror movie. I. Who said that a timid person can't watch horror movies? Who told you to suddenly pat me? It's clearly your fault. Xia Dong roared angrily. Bailey Han really wanted to strangle this woman. I'm just reminding you that it's time to take your medicine. Click. The light turned on. Putting the remote control on the table, Bailey Han picked up the glass of water and the pills on the side. She pouted. I'm already much better. Can I not take my medicine? He looked at her coldly. What do you think? If you can't, then you can't. I'll take it, okay? She muttered as she took the pills. With a heroic expression, she suddenly put the pills into her mouth. She then took 2 big gulps of water and swallowed the pills. She couldn't help but stick out her tongue. It's so bitter, so bitter. Here you go. He handed over a slice of apple. The corner of his mouth twitched. Who could tell him why he walked the path of an old mother? Under Bailey Han's meticulous care, Xia Dong woke up the next morning and recovered from her cold. She stretched lazily and looked into the distance. Her movements suddenly froze. Damn it, she almost forgot about their current situation. They were still on an isolated island. Bailey Han's expression was calm. He knew that his family must have known about his disappearance. They would definitely find a way to find him. However, He wasn't a person who resigned himself to fate. Before his family found him, he had to think of a way to save himself. He raised his chin towards the small island. Today, we'll go to the small island over there and see if we can find a way to leave this place. The yacht's own lifeboat had been taken away. They had to use a lifebuoy to reach the small island about 10 meters away from them. Fortunately, the water wasn't very deep. He carried the packed backpack and swam to the deserted island with Xiaodong. When they reached the small island, Xiaodong deliberately distanced herself from the white bones. She scanned the surrounding environment. The forest behind the beach was dark and eerie. She had a very uncomfortable feeling, as if there was a very scary creature living here. Bailey Han also had a bad premonition. This island didn't have the slightest trace of human life. The surroundings were also emitting a damp and rotten smell, which faintly made people feel that it was dangerous. I'll start a fire. You use this to spray a distress signal on the beach. Bailey Han put down his backpack and took out a can of spray paint. Oh, Xiaodong replied. He found a relatively empty beach and began to work with his butt in the air. I'll go to the forest to pick up some dry wood. Don't run around. This dagger is for you to protect yourself. Bailey Han threw her a dagger and said a few more words before walking towards the forest. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 54. Xiaodong quickly sprayed a large SOS distress signal with red spray paint. Then she sat on the empty beach and waited for Bailey Han to return. Overhead, the sun gradually disappeared and dark clouds began to gather. The seawater washed over the beach and the water level slowly rose. Xiaodong kept staring in the direction of the forest. When she saw Bailey Han appear at the edge of the forest, she stood up and waved excitedly, completely unaware of the danger that was approaching her. Bailey Han carried a bundle of firewood and walked towards the beach. When he saw Xiaodong standing up and waving his arms happily, the corners of his cold and stiff lips couldn't help but slowly curl up. He quickened his pace, but before he could walk far, she suddenly screamed and kicked her ankle like a madwoman. Then he saw her pull out a dagger. His heart suddenly trembled. He threw away the firewood and quickly ran towards her. By the time he got close to her, she had already cut a small green snake into several pieces with her dagger. The snake's tail was still struggling on the beach. She clutched her ankle and fell to the ground, her face deathly pale. It's a poisonous snake. Bailey Han quickly glanced at the snake and bent down to check her wound. The snake's poison was very strong and her wound had already turned black. We have to force the poison out as soon as possible. He tightened his grip on her ankle. After hesitating for a second, he suddenly bent down and covered her wound with his lips. No, don't. She guessed his intention and struggled, trying to pull her leg out. Don't move. He scolded in a deep voice. His hands tightly held her ankle and his cold lips covered hers again. He sucked forcefully, and she felt the wound tighten. He had already turned his head and spat out a mouthful of black blood. Without any pause, he covered the wound again and sucked the poisoned blood mouthful by mouthful. After doing this more than 10 times, the blood he spat out had already turned bright red. It's done. He took a roll of gauze from his backpack and wrapped it around her ankle. Then he took out a bottle of water and rinsed his mouth. Although her wound still hurt, Xiaodong looked much better. She watched as he took out a bottle of water from his backpack and handed it to her. She asked curiously, "When did you prepare so many things?" "When you're asleep." Before she got up, he had already prepared the things he needed, just in case. As expected of the omnipotent young Master Bailey. You're even more reliable than Doryman. She tried to please him. He raised his eyebrows and did not say anything. He looked up at the sky and said, "It's going to rain soon. We have to hurry back to the ship. Can you still walk?" "No problem." She did not want to be a burden to him, so she endured the pain and stood up. However, after taking 2 steps, her body began to sway. He supported her and bent down. "Come up." "Ah!" She stared at the man who was squatting in front of her in disbelief. "Come up," he emphasized. "That's not good. You support me. I can walk by myself." How could she dare to climb onto young Master Jean Gui's back? "If you don't come up, you'll have to spend the night on the island." He was already starting to get impatient. "You're threatening me." She quietly climbed onto his back. He hugged her petite body and clasped her thighs with both hands as they walked towards the beach. A bolt of lightning flashed across the sky. Following that, there was a loud rumble. The entire sky seemed to have leaked as it started to rain heavily. The moment the thunder exploded, she hugged his neck tightly and shivered as she hid behind his broad back. The cold rain poured down and they were quickly drenched. Bailey Han frowned. "The rain is too heavy. We can't get back to the ship." He bent down and picked up the backpack on the ground. He handed it to the person behind him. "Carry this. There's a cave in the forest. We'll go there to take shelter from the rain." He had found the cave when he was collecting firewood. It was very dry and suitable for shelter from the rain. "But there's thunder in the sky. It's very dangerous to go to the forest now." Xiaodong's voice trembled. "The cave is at the edge of the forest. It won't be dangerous." Without waiting for her to speak again, Bailey Han had already carried her towards the forest. They were about to reach the edge of the forest. It was a low hill covered with fallen leaves and dead branches. It was soft to step on, but Bailey Han didn't dare to let his guard down. The geographical situation here was unknown. The more simple and natural things were, the more dangerous they might be. It was important to be cautious. The rain fell from his hair and blurred his eyes. He had to blink hard before he could see the direction clearly. Hiss! The person on his back suddenly gasped in pain. "What's wrong?" He quickly stopped in his tracks. "A tree branch hooked onto my hair." Xiaodong fumbled with the tree branch in her hair. But the more flustered she was, the tighter her hair was entangled with the tree branch. She tried to raise her head to look in the direction of the tree branch but found something that shocked her even more. "Ah! What's wrong now?" "Snake, snake. There are so many snakes." On the big tree next to them, about 7 to 8 meters away from the trunk, there were many finger-thick green snakes. They all stretched out their heads and flicked their tongues. Their green eyes were fixed on the two people under the tree. "Don't panic. Let's untie your hair first." Bailey Han's voice deepened. His arms used more strength to support her. She anxiously touched the top of her head and finally found the tree branch that was tangling her hair. She used her strength to break the branch. "Okay, let's go. There are so many snakes on this tree." "Not good. There are already snakes approaching us." Hiss, 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 hiss. The snakes on the tree all stuck out their tongues and slithered towards them. A small snake suddenly jumped towards the two people under the tree. Bailey Han keenly sensed movement and nimbly dodged it. The small snake landed 2 steps away from his feet. He hugged her tightly. His eagle-like eyes were fixed on the cave in front of them. His handsome face didn't change because of the snake's attack. He just quickened his pace. Another snake pounced over. He quickly dodged and took a step to the side. Suddenly, he felt the withered leaves under his feet slowly sinking. Just as a bad thought flashed through his mind, he quickly said, "Woman, hug the tree next to you. Don't let go." Xiaodong also felt that something was wrong. She hurriedly hugged the tree next to her. The two gradually stopped sliding. Before they could breathe a sigh of relief, there was a loud crash and the soil under their feet collapsed. Bailey Han's feet were suddenly suspended in the air. His body fell rapidly. In a flash, he suddenly let go of Xiaodong's hands. Bailey Han. Because Xiaodong was hugging the tree trunk with both hands, she hung on the spot when Bailey Han let go of her. The scene in front of them became even clearer. The place they were standing at earlier had become a large hole more than 2 meters wide, and she was hugging the tree beside the hole. When she moved her feet slightly, rocks and soil would fall into the hole with a pitter-patter. Bailey Han, Bailey Han. Xiaodong looked at the big hole by her feet and called out his name in panic. An unprecedented panic surged in her heart. "Bailey Han, are you okay? Don't scare me." "I'm fine." A calm voice came out from the hole. Xiaodong could almost imagine the man's cold face. She bit her lip and tried to calm down. "Don't worry, I'll find a way to get you out. Can you see how deep the hole is?" It was dark inside the hole. The air was humid and there was a rotten smell. Bailey Han leaned against the wall of the hole, his right hand covering the outside of his left calf. He looked up and could only see a small light. He slowly said, "The hole is more than 5 meters deep." 5 meters. Where would she find a rope? Bailey Han's faint voice came again. There are ropes in the yacht's warehouse. However, the tide has risen. You can go back when the tide goes down. How are you down there? Are you hurt? Xiaodong touched the rainwater on her face and asked worriedly. I can still hold on. He avoided another question. Go to the cave to take shelter from the rain first. Wait for me. I'll definitely pull you up. After a few minutes of not hearing a reply, Xiaodong was a little anxious and called out again. Bailey Han, are you okay? After a few seconds of silence, she heard his reply. Give me a dagger. Okay, I'll throw it to you against the wall on the west side. Be careful. Xiaodong threw the dagger down against the wall. Take a rest first. I'll be back soon. Although he said he could hold on, Xiaodong was still very worried. She did not go to the cave to take shelter from the rain. Instead, she braved the rain and dragged her injured leg to look for vines nearby. She planned to connect the vines together and pull him out. At this moment, Bailey Han's situation was not much better. He tore a strip of cloth from his shirt and wrapped it around his left calf. However, the air was still filled with the smell of blood. There was a hissing sound in the cave. Something slid down the wall to his side. He knew what it was. And there was more than one. Just as the dagger was about to fall, a snake flew towards him. He dodged quickly and pulled out the dagger at the same time. With a fierce swing, the poisonous snake was cut in two and fell to the ground. The strong smell of blood filled the air. More hissing sounds could be heard. In the closed and damp cave, it was hair-raising. His malicious eyes stared at the restless creatures in the dark. Through the weak light above his head, he could barely see a shadow pouncing towards him. The dagger danced quickly. The number of snake corpses under his feet increased and the smell of blood in the air became stronger. The wound on his left leg ruptured, and more fluid flowed out, but he didn't even frown. His eyes were fixed on his surroundings. Suddenly, a vine as thick as 2 fingers fell from the top of his head. He heard Xiaodong's urgent voice. Bailey Han, do you see the vine? Grab it. Don't worry, my other end is wrapped around the tree. It will definitely be able to bear your weight. He got rid of another snake and whispered, Okay. He grabbed the vine with one hand and held the dagger in his left hand to prevent any dangerous creatures from suddenly jumping out. He climbed up step by step. Xiaodong stood beside the tree and waited anxiously. Bailey Han wiped the rainwater off his face and raised his head to look at the entrance of the cave. The light had increased. It was about 2 meters away. He quickened his pace. At this moment, he heard a crisp, gotcha sound. Damn it, the vine can't hold on anymore. Xiaodong saw a crack appear at the joint between the 2 vines. She did not have time to think. She flew up and grabbed the joint tightly with both hands. She shouted anxiously, Bailey Han, quick, the vine is going to break. Bailey Han's eyes turned cold. He grabbed the vine with both hands and sped up. At Hongcha 866. Chapter 55. Xiaodong felt a strong pulling force from the vines. Her legs were hooked onto the tree. Her palms, which had been pulled when she was picking the vines, were burning with pain. She clenched her teeth and held on. She couldn't let go. Once she did, all her efforts would be wasted. Her hands, which were tightly holding onto the vines, were already covered in scars. Red strangle marks crisscrossed on her palms. Her skin was already broken and bleeding. Crash! Gravel fell from the loose opening of the cave. The area near the tree was about to collapse. Her chest had been pulled to the opening of the cave. She could see that Bailey Han had already climbed to a position 1 meter away from the opening of the cave. Her beautiful face was twisted in pain. The wounds on her hands had already ruptured and blood was flowing out. Some of the blood even flowed along the vines and fell onto Bailey Han's face. His eyes darkened. He grabbed the vines with one hand and a piece of soil on the wall with the other, trying to reduce the pulling force on the vines. Finally, he kicked hard and threw himself to the opening of the cave. Xiaodong pulled on his arms. The 2 of them pulled together and finally returned to a safe place. Your feet. Your hands. The 2 of them spoke at the same time, but then froze at the same time. They spoke again at the same time. I'm fine. There was an awkward silence. After a few seconds, Bailey Han said lightly, let's go to the cave first. He reached out to take his backpack, but Xiaodong grabbed it first. Let me. Bailey Han's gaze fell on her bloody hands. He silently reached out his hand. Xiaodong couldn't persuade him and handed the backpack to him. The two of them supported each other and walked into the cave. The cave was about 10 square meters in size. It was very dry and the ground was covered with soft withered leaves. Bailey Han vigilantly scanned the cave. Only when he didn't discover any dangerous creatures did he put the backpack on the ground. Fortunately, the backpack was waterproof. The things inside didn't get wet at all. Bailey Han took out the gauze and ointment. He reached out to her. Give me your hand. She reached out her hand to Gigai. He put her hand on his knee and applied the ointment on a cotton swab. He carefully wiped her wound. His eyes were downcast and his expression couldn't be seen. Does it hurt? Xiaodong suddenly felt that this scene was somewhat familiar. 5 years ago, when she was injured in Bali, he had also applied medicine for her. In a moment of absent-mindedness, he asked again, does the wound hurt? She came back to her senses. It hurts. Why didn't you listen to me? Why didn't you wait until the rain stopped and go back to the yacht to get the rope? His gaze was so terrifying, as if he wanted to skin her alive. She retracted her hand and whispered, I'm afraid you'll be in danger in the cave. Besides, it's raining so heavily. It's not good for your health to be drenched in the rain. Bailey Han was unable to restrain his anger. An extremely cold storm was completely unleashed as he angrily rebuked a certain someone who had her head lowered. Where are you going to find vines in such a heavy rain? Damn it, why was he so worried about her? Bailey Han couldn't understand why he was so angry. At the same time, he was disgusted. He suddenly stuffed the cotton swab into her hand and said with a dark face, wipe it yourself. Xiaodong thought he was angry because she didn't listen to him. She carefully looked at him while wiping her wound. Don't be angry. I'm fine now. You're fine too. Ha, ha. She couldn't smile anymore because he glared at her fiercely. Her hand paused, and she sucked in a breath. Ugh, she had poked his wound. You're so stupid. You're so clumsy when applying ointment. Bailey Han couldn't stand it anymore. He snatched the cotton swab from her hand. After applying the ointment, he used gauze to bandage her hands. Don't touch water. Don't use too much strength. He was like a doctor, giving detailed instructions. She could only nod. Finally, she volunteered to look at his left leg. Is your leg hurt badly? Let me bandage it for you. I'm fine. He moved his left leg to avoid her touch. Be obedient and don't move. She slapped his thigh. I'm a doctor now. Listen to me. She carefully lifted up his trousers. There was only a piece of cloth roughly tied around his leg. The white cloth was dyed red, and blood was slowly seeping out of it. She stared at his wound in a daze. An uncomfortable feeling kept surging up her throat. Finally it turned into anger. Are you an idiot? You're injured so badly and you still say you're fine. Her hysterical roar echoed in the cave for a long time. Xiaodong didn't know why she was so angry. She stared at the man in front of her as if she wanted to find an answer. She didn't expect to see his lips slowly curl into a smile. Oh God! She was going crazy. You're still in the mood to smile? You must be crazy. You're lucky you didn't fall and become disabled. She rolled her eyes and bandaged his wound again. Fortunately, he was fully prepared. There was water and food in his backpack, but the food was frozen and needed to be heated. Bailey Han gathered all the leaves in the cave into a pile. He found a lighter and lit it. The cave immediately warmed up. She was too nervous to notice it earlier. Now that she was relaxed, Xiaodong felt very cold with her wet clothes wrapped around her body. She sat by the fire and began to dry her clothes. Bailey Han put the food on a wooden stick to heat it up. Bailey Han, I'm really admiring you more and more. You're good in the hall, good in the kitchen, and good in martial arts. Most importantly, you have wilderness survival skills. You're simply a must-have for traveling. Xiaodong ate the hot food and flattered him. Bailey Han's eyes flashed with an imperceptible smile. His expression was still cold. If you had been thrown on a deserted island for a month to survive, you would have done these things too. Xiaodong looked at him in disbelief. Can you tell me about these things? He didn't answer. She hurriedly said, if you can't tell me, then forget it. He looked at the fire and said calmly, actually, there's nothing much to say. These are the rules of the Bailey family. After the eldest son comes of age, he has to pass many tests before he can inherit the family's power. He hid many secrets that she didn't know about. Only now did she understand that the wealth and status he had now was not because he was blessed by the heavens, but because he worked hard for it. She suddenly thought of a question and blurted out, then will your son have to go through these tests in the future? He suddenly stared at her, his eyes becoming dangerous and cold. I don't care what purpose you have for approaching me. If you threaten my son, I will make you disappear from this world completely. The atmosphere that had just eased between the two of them stiffened again. She smiled helplessly. I didn't mean that. On the contrary, I'm very happy that you care so much about your son. He looked at her suspiciously. She calmly met his gaze, her clear eyes without any impurities. Perhaps he was thinking too much. The cold aura around him gradually disappeared. He looked outside the cave and saw that the rain was still pouring. It seems that we will have to spend the night here. At night, Xiaodong began to have a fever again. Her whole body was burning hot, and the wound that was bitten by the venomous snake began to swell and fester. Bailey Han frowned. He covered her with a coat that had been dried by the fire. He dipped the cloth in rainwater and placed it on her forehead to cool her down. He took care of her for the entire night until the wee hours of the morning, when he finally fell asleep. The two of them who were sleeping did not know that a dark shadow had sneaked out from a hidden corner of the yacht and came to the deserted island. He followed the traces and found the cave. Seeing the two injured people in the cave, a trace of worry flashed across the intruder's eyes. He sneaked back to the yacht using the original route. Xia Xiaobao, who was still on vacation at the Hot Spring Hotel, was woken up by a phone call early in the morning. He heard Zhang Dao's voice. Young Master Bao, Miss and Bailey Han are both injured. What? Xia Xiaobao jumped out of bed, completely awake. How did they get injured? Are their injuries serious? Mrs. Ankle is injured, and she seems to have caught a cold. Bailey Han's left leg is injured. Both of their wounds have been bandaged, but I can't tell if it's serious. Xia Xiaobao jumped up and down on the bed impatiently. I announced the termination of the plan. Restore the cell phone signal on the island. Yes, young Master Bao. Early in the morning, rays of sunlight peeked out. In Bailey's old residence, the butler called Bailey Han's cell phone over and over again. Suddenly he shouted excitedly, young Master's cell phone has been connected. Quick, quick, Ahu, track the signal and find out where they are. Old Madam said excitedly. Understood. Old Madam, there's news from the Dragon Gang. They found the yacht's location. Ahu reported loudly, Old Madam, young Master's cell phone signal has been tracked. It's on a deserted island 400 nautical miles from the shallow sea. Very good. Inform Bao that the helicopter can take off now. Old Madam gripped her walking stick nervously and said solemnly, Ahu, go with the helicopter. You must bring young Master back safely. After the heavy rain, the earth was fresh and clean. The rising sun brought with it a hint of warmth and shone into the cave. Bailey Han was awakened by the glaring sunlight. He closed his eyes and opened them again. Only then did he see the scene in the cave clearly. The fire had been extinguished, leaving behind a pile of ashes. There was no one else in the cave except for him. That woman had disappeared. Damn it, where did she go? Was she in danger? The thought flashed through his mind as he dragged his injured leg out of the cave. After the rain, the soil in the forest was soft. With yesterday's lesson, he was even more cautious. He hurriedly but steadily walked on the path in the forest. Walking along the gentle slope out of the forest, he saw a vast beach. The SOS that she had sprayed with red paint had long been washed away by the rain. The yacht that had been docked on the shore was also gone. He was even more anxious. Ignoring the injury on his leg, he ran towards the beach. Virum! Virum! Above him, A helicopter flew over quickly and stopped in the empty space in front of him. Young master, are you okay? Ahu and Abao alighted from the helicopter and ran towards them. I'm fine, Bailey Han said calmly. His gaze swept across the sea where the yacht had been docked and he walked towards the helicopter. Ahu, take a few people and search this deserted island. The rest of you, return. The helicopter rose slowly, leaving a white trail in the air. Bailey Han returned to the old mansion safely. Old Madam led the entire family to wait at the main door. Seeing his figure, Bailey was the first to pounce on him. However, the moment he touched him, he stopped and froze in front of him. Daddy. Bailey Han took the initiative to carry him. Daddy is fine. Awesome novel. Shinwoo 799. Chapter 56. With her son in her arms, she walked unsteadily to the old lady. Grandma, I'm sorry for making you worry. The old lady's eyes were red. Why is your left leg injured? Is it serious? It's just a scratch. It's nothing serious. Grandma, don't worry. Ahan put Xiaoyi down. Be careful of your leg. The doctor is waiting in the living room. Let him take a look at your injury. Bai Jinxiu also came over. Su Yunqian was standing next to her. Her eyes were slightly red. Although she didn't say anything, they could feel her worry. Mom, Yunqian, I'm sorry for making you worry. The old lady said. Okay. You must be tired after coming back. Go in and take a look at your injury first. We can talk later. Suja checked Bailey Han's injury. The abrasions on his calf were quite serious. Fortunately, his muscles and bones were not injured. There were several scratches on his body, but they were not very serious. After rebandaging his wound, Bailey Han comforted his family. Finally, he followed Su Yunqian back to his room upstairs. As soon as they entered the room, Su Yunqian threw herself into Bailey Han's arms with tears in her eyes. Han, fortunately you're okay. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the face to live. Don't be silly. I'm back in one piece. He gently wiped the tears on her cheeks. If I hadn't gone to the yacht, you wouldn't have come and so many things wouldn't have happened. She bit her lip, her face full of guilt. It's not your fault. I was too careless. He kissed her forehead gently and pulled her into his arms. What happened after you went missing? She bit her lip and looked like she wanted to say something. Were you with Xiaodong? Yunqian, I'm tired. I don't want to talk about this now. He played down this matter. Okay, then have a good rest. I'll come to see you tomorrow. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the lips. When she turned around and left, her eyes were cold. Why didn't he talk about it? Was it because he had done something wrong to her? He was the only one left in the room. He sat at the head of the bed and contacted Ahu. At this time, they had already finished searching the island and were bringing people back to the old Bailey mansion. Ahu, what did you find? Young master, the deserted island has been washed away by a storm. There are no traces of human activity. Your mobile phone was found in the shallows 10 meters away from the beach. Is there anyone else on the island? No. All right, I got it. Lying in the bathtub, Bailey Han frowned. That woman had mysteriously disappeared. Did the person behind her take her away, or did she encounter some danger? At this time, Xiaodong was already lying on her bed. The nanny took good care of her, who had a cold, and even found a doctor to treat her wound from the snake bite. She didn't know how long she slept, but she opened her heavy eyes and looked around in a daze. Her eyes finally lit up. She was home. However, something didn't seem right. The door was suddenly pushed open and a small head popped out. Then, it was a scream of surprise. Brother, mommy is awake. There was a crackling sound. Then, a small body rushed in like a cannonball. Mom, are you okay? Oh. After the shock, it was anger. Xiaodong propped herself up with one hand and grabbed the ear of the little person lying in front of her bed with the other hand. Xia Xiaobao, I'm telling you, you're in big trouble. Mom, you don't have to shout so loudly. I can hear you. Xia Xiaobao dug his ear with a bitter face. You're full of energy. It seems like you've recovered. Mommy, don't abuse brother. He's very pitiful. Xiao Guai blinked her big watery eyes and pleaded for her brother. Xiao Guai, you have no idea what kind of heinous things your brother has done. Xia Dong was full of grievances and had nowhere to vent. I was wrong. Xia Xiaobao took the initiative to admit his mistake. He blinked his big watery eyes that resembled his sister's. Mommy, I was wrong. Please forgive me this time, Mommy. Xiao Guai, go back to your room first. Xia Dong's attitude was firm. She ignored her daughter's pleading eyes and asked the nanny to take her back to her room. Then, she would settle the score with her son. Xia Xiaobao, you're getting bolder, aren't you? You think you can play your mother in the palm of your hand just because you're smart? Do you know how dangerous it is on the deserted island? If it wasn't for Bailey Han... wait, why am I back? Where's Bailey Han? Xia Dong finally realized what was wrong. Well, Bailey Han, his people should have found the island by now. As long as he gave the order not to interfere with the island's mobile phone signal, it would be much easier to find them. Should. Are you kidding me? Do you know how dangerous it is there? How could you leave him alone there? She was about to explode. Mom, don't worry. He's definitely fine now. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes. Do you think Bailey's people are vegetarians? In the 2 days that you were missing, their people almost turned City A upside down. If it wasn't for Uncle Shin's people who helped me block them, they would have found you long ago. Also, Mom, if I bring him back, wouldn't it be obvious that I'm the one behind the disappearance? I'm not that stupid. His principle was to not leave any evidence behind. What he said made sense. Xia Dong thought of her purpose and gradually calmed down. We were lucky this time and didn't cause any irreversible consequences. You're not allowed to do such dangerous things in the future. I know, he blinked innocently. Mommy, since that's the case, can you not punish me? Of course not. She glared at him fiercely and flipped him over, pressing him on her knees. She pulled down his pants and slapped his buttocks with her palms. Xia Xiaobao cried out. Spanking was really the scariest corporal punishment that adults could use to intimidate children. Xia Xiaobao deeply felt that both his body and mind had been greatly damaged. After being spanked, he stuck his little buttocks out and hid under the blanket. Xia Dong gently coaxed him for a long time and wanted to apply medicine for him, but he refused. She had no choice but to ask the nanny to apply medicine for him. After applying the medicine, the nanny was distressed. Miss Xia, you're too harsh. Young master's buttocks are all red. Filled with regret and heartache, she specially made her son's favorite soup and brought it to his bedside. She touched the small ball curled up under the blanket and said softly, Baby, Mommy shouldn't have hit you so hard. It's Mommy's fault. Mommy knows that you're smart, but if the Bailey's family finds out that it was us who set this trap, will they let us off so easily? Mommy just didn't want you to be in danger. You and Gigai are the most important people to Mommy. Mommy doesn't want you to be hurt. Maybe Mommy was wrong. Mommy shouldn't have involved you in this matter in the first place. The small ball in the blanket moved and his soft hands hugged her waist. She heard her son's muffled voice. Mommy, I won't do this kind of thing again. You're Mommy's good baby. Mommy made your favorite soup. Come out and drink it while it's hot. She pulled him out from under the blanket and scooped a spoonful of soup for him with a smile. Here, Mommy will feed you. Okay. He smiled happily, his big eyes curved into beautiful crescents. The mother and son leaned against each other and the atmosphere in the room was warm. Xia Dong went missing for 2 days and returned to the company. Everyone was concerned about her and asked her if she was feeling better. She smiled and thanked everyone for their concern. Once again, she was amazed by her son's meticulousness. He had applied for sick leave from the company's Human Resources Department 2 days ago. Annie, you've chosen a good topic. Give me the manuscript on Friday. Ding Hao, send me the photos of the Paris fashion show after the meeting. Jennifer, have you finished the interview for the cover of this issue? During the regular meeting, Xia Dong was making arrangements when her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. She hung up without hesitation and continued the meeting. After the meeting ended, she returned to the office and dialed the number. Hello, I'm Xia Dong. Are you looking for me? A man's magnetic voice came from the other end. I'm Bailey Han. Xiaodong's mind went blank for a moment. She mumbled, "Oh, hello. What's the matter? What's the matter?" Her voice sounded very businesslike. Bailey Han, who was sitting in the office, had the urge to smash his phone. He must be crazy to call her to confirm her safety. There was no response from the other end for a long time. Xiaodong hesitated and asked, "Bailey Han, is the injury on your leg okay?" Bailey Han's anger miraculously dissipated. He said faintly, "What about you? Ha! Has your wound healed?" "Oh, it's fine now." The two of them were silent awkwardly. No one spoke, and neither of them hung up. Xiaodong coughed and decided to break the silence. "Can you keep what happened last time a secret for me?" His face darkened. "What do you mean?" "I think you know that we were stranded on the deserted island because of me, so I hope you can keep it a secret." She gripped the phone tightly and found it difficult to speak. "If you think it's difficult, then forget it. I'm ready to bear the consequences. Don't you want to explain what's going on?" "Sorry, there's someone I want to protect." "Very well." He hung up the phone after saying this. Xiaodong listened to the beeping sound from the phone and sighed helplessly. Before she could calm down, another call came in. "Hello, I'm Su Yunqian. I want to meet you." "Okay, time and place." 7:00 in the evening. Repulse Cafe. After work, Xiaodong walked quickly to her parking space. A red sports car suddenly turned from the other side and blocked her way. Bailey Yun got out of the car, took off his sunglasses and walked quickly to her. "Bailey Yun, you." She had just opened her mouth when he suddenly pulled her into his arms. He rested his chin on the top of her head and said in a low voice, "Xiaodong, where have you been these 2 days?" She lied. "I didn't go anywhere. I was sick and had been resting at home." "Don't lie to me again." He lifted her head agitatedly. His deep eyes filled with anger and sadness. "I went to your house and your aunt's house, but I couldn't find you anywhere. Do you know how worried I was? Do you know how scared I was? I was scared that you would leave without saying goodbye again. You heartless woman, why did you lie to me?" Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.